Yo Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 7 of What If I Was Reincarnated in the One Piece world as a Skypiean. Let the tale begin. Chapter 156, Boa Hancock. Hancock bit Amon's finger while staring at his face with her eyes enlarged. It's him, the guy who humiliated the world nobles in front of the whole world. Hancock thought to herself. But what is a busy man such as he, the fifth emperor, doing here? From an outside point of view, the emperors are supposed to be very busy, even though in reality they are the closest to being most free. With this belief, Hancock was truly confused by his sudden appearance. Though it wasn't that hard to intercept what his motive was after seeing how he was trying to free her shackles. Is he here to save me? No. There must be some wicked reason behind his actions. I might admire him, but that doesn't mean it changes the fact that he is a man. I can't let my guard down without knowing him better. Stop biting me. Amon's voice caused her to flinch as she noticed how she was biting his finger. With a frown, Hancock drew back her mouth like a submissive puppy, leaving a thread of saliva connecting from his finger and her mouth. Amon glanced at her for a while before directing his hands towards her handcuffs. Before he could do anything more, Hancock's voice stopped him from doing anything further. Wait, she said, glaring at him. Tell me your business here. I don't want to be indebted to a man. Tell me, what do you want in exchange for helping me? Amon froze for a second, but soon a snicker left his lips. You are calm, Pirate Empress. Perhaps you have already sensed that there is no marine left in this vicinity. Boa Hancock's frown didn't disappear as she sighed. Just tell me what you want. I hope your desire isn't like every other man. Amon shook his head with an amused face while the other Boa sisters stayed silent. I have to say, you are beautiful, but I am not here for what you are thinking. I just need strong subordinates, so I am here to offer the Kuja pirates a chance to join me, not as equals, of course. Boa Hancock didn't react instantly, but the other two Boa sisters did. We won't work under anyone, and a man like you would be the last person we'd ever be loyal to. Boa Hancock interrupted them. Marigold, Sander Sonia, calm down. We'll discuss it later. Instantly, both sisters shut their mouths. Hancock then looked at Amon. I can't guarantee that we will work under you. So if you still want to free us, then do it. If not, then leave. Amon smiled softly. Or you should leave, she says. Even though she is so scared and nervous right now, barely keeping her tough act. In reality, Boa Hancock was hoping for Amon to free her. She couldn't sense any Marines, but she couldn't be sure that they disappeared. After all, unconscious people are also hidden to observation hockey. She must be assuming I knocked all the Marines out somehow, either with Conqueror's hockey or my devil fruit. Amon thought as he directed his hands upwards to touch the handcuffs. He glanced at Hancock with a reassuring smile. No worries. I am confident you will accept my offer. As Amon said this, he touched the sea stone handcuffs with his palm that was covered by a glove and gripped them strongly. Instantly, Amon's advanced armament, Ryo, flowed through the handcuffs as cracks appeared in them, and they broke into pieces the next second. Boa Hancock stared at the scene with indifferent eyes, as one would expect from an emperor. He already knows the advanced form of armament at such a young age. I thought he was the type who was heavily dependent on his devil fruit, but it seems I was wrong. Boa Hancock had a frown on her face as she stared at Amon's face. He doesn't seem to be lying about saving us so that we can join him. If he really is telling the truth, he might be trustworthy. Not too long after, along with Hancock, the other two Boa sisters were also freed. They instantly declared, Sky Emperor, we won't join you. You are someone who we respect, but that is not enough to make us go under you. Hancock just glanced at them, making them shut up. Amon shrugged. It's fine. Being slaves do change people and create trauma. Though I won't give up so easily since you did say, you respect me. The three didn't hear anything past the word slave. Their eyes grew as the body trembled. He knows about our secret? Boa Hancock feigned ignorance after gulping her saliva. Slave? What are you talking about? Amon sighed. Trust me, I won't reveal your secret. I have no reason to, even if you don't join. Rest assured. Hearing Amon's words, although the other two Boa sisters were suspicious, Hancock wasn't. She had a great analytic ability, and her gut was telling her this man wasn't lying. We can't do anything but trust him. What she didn't know was that it wasn't her gut that helped her, it was her biased heart. Amon was a man who stood with the people who were at the top. But Boa Hancock wasn't attracted to him because of that. The sole reason was how he humiliated the world nobles and, as a bonus, how he gravely injured Kizaru, the killer of her benefactor. However, the current Boa Hancock wasn't even aware of her feelings. She was rather trying to look for excuses. I've heard about his speed. Now I got to see it firsthand too. He took out thousands of Marine officers in less than a second. My abilities wouldn't work against him if he dodges all my attacks. Ultimately, there was no way she could eliminate him. So it's better to heed to his words for now. Besides, he doesn't seem like other men. Hancock thought. At the same time, she felt a tiny flutter in her heart. Amon smirked in his mind as he sensed the emotions deep within Hancock's heart. Who would have thought the most beautiful woman in the world was such a pushover? This was easier than I thought. Meanwhile, in Amazon Lily, the Marine reinforcements were easily defeated by Riki. She was currently freeing the Amazons who were tied by ropes with a cheerful smile on her face. She walked closer to a bunch of tied teenagers and cut the ropes with her sword. Are you guys fine? Don't worry, Big Sis Riki will help you free yourselves. Riki smiled as the scared girls hugged her tightly. So good now that brother is gone. Meanwhile, a short red-haired Amazon woman in her mid-20s walked closer to Riki nervously. Riki turned around hearing the light yelp, coming face to face with the woman with red hair and her beautiful face. She said, "Sister, can you go save the Snake Empress too?" She was taken by the other Marines. Riki's cheerful smile vanished as she instantly shook her head. Unfortunately, I can't go. My brother said not to, since he has gone to save her himself. Anyways, he is strong and he will save your Snake Empress. Oh, the Amazon nodded, even though she didn't understand what the word brother meant. I understand. Riki nodded while looking around. There were 5,000 people here. Of these 5,000 people, each was tied in numerous groups. Each group contained a few hundred people. 5,000 people isn't a small sum. This would have been faster if Brother or Yona were here. Thinking this, Riki ran to another group of tied people to free them, while ordering the freed Amazons to free the tied Amazons too. Meanwhile, not far from there, 10 destroyed Marine ships were floating in the ocean with charred dead bodies on the ships. Other than the Vice Admiral, everyone was killed with one hit. Even so, the Vice Admiral wasn't able to hold on for much longer either. Light manipulation is strong, very much so. Although not being Logia doesn't give Riki as much versatility as Kizaru, it is still enough on its own. Chapter 157, Ace. In the Grand Line, somewhere in the Calm Belt, 10 Marine ships were seen floating in the calm sea, not moving an inch. It was because no one was there to make the ship's transit, and the only people in the ship were the Kuja pirates and an Emperor of the Sea. After removing the Marines from the ships and freeing the Boa sisters, Amon was talking with Hancock in a dark cell. It only had one window at the top of it. Today Hancock was wearing the red dress that she was seen wearing in her first appearance in anime. She was also wearing a cape. Amon looked at Hancock and suggested, "Then we should free your people first. After that, I plan to turn the ships around and head back to Amazon Lily." Hancock opened her mouth. She wanted to say something but nothing came out. After a few attempts, she finally closed her mouth. I never thought I would care for them ever. Hancock was talking about the Kuja people. Boa Hancock didn't think much of the Kuja tribe. She didn't care whether it got destroyed or not. However, today, when it was about to happen, her heart couldn't allow her to act the way she usually did, cold and selfish. They're my people. If they get captured and punished, I wouldn't allow it. I don't need the filthy world government to punish them for me. Hancock used this as an excuse and nodded to herself. While Amon patiently waited for her to talk, Hancock opened her mouth. I understand, but the Marines' reinforcements have already arrived at Amazon Lily. They're probably capturing the remaining Kujas already. I know you're very fast, so I want you to go and save them. Without even realizing it, Hancock was talking to Amon in a bossy tone. She forgot the man in front of her was an Emperor of the Sea. She continued, "Meanwhile, I'll go and free the Kujas in these ships. After that, I'll go to Amazon Lily along with these 10 Marine ships. It'll take me about 2 days to reach it. You can leave now." Amon suddenly interrupted her. He broke out laughing while glancing at Hancock's confused face. That strangely sounds like you are ordering me, Pirate Empress. Watch your tone. I am not the one with lower value here. Boa Hancock stayed silent. She realized suddenly that he was right. It was her fault. Usually, she could get out of these situations thanks to her beauty, but this man, he was different from the others. After my defeat against that old Marine lady, the confidence I once had in my beauty has dwindled. Still, Amon didn't seem angry at her. She knew for sure, if it was another emperor, they'd harm her for talking that way to them, or at least yell at her. She knew this fact very well. A hardly noticeable smile crept onto her face. He's not like the others at all. After staring at Amon's eyes for a second, she said with a courteous bow, "I apologize. It was my fault. I didn't realize who I was talking to." The two Boa sisters freaked out. "Big sister." Boa Hancock continued as if she didn't hear them. "I will rephrase my words. Will you please go and save the Kuja tribe?" Amon snickered in his mind. Oh, how good it felt to make a prideful person like her say the word please. He lightly shook his head. "No need to worry. I already have sent Riki there. She must be freeing your people as we talk." Hancock raised her head and questioned, "Riki? She is a girl in her late teens. You will meet her after reaching there," Amon answered while walking out of the cell. "Anyways, follow me to the other cells." An unnoticed frown appeared on Hancock's beautiful face. A girl. Just like that, 2 days passed by. Amon and Hancock's group were going towards Amazon Lily. Meanwhile, on the New World side of the world, something more interesting was happening with the groups of an emperor. "Gororara, kid, you're here to challenge me?" The old and deep voice of the strongest man alive flowed through the sea as the crew of Whitebeard pirates laughed. "Pops, let us take care of it," Marco said from the side as he looked ahead towards the face of the novice pirate. The Whitebeard pirates were resting on an island filled with trees, a forest. But to think a novice pirate crew will dare to come here and challenge the strongest man himself. Whitebeard groaned. "No, I will take care of it myself." He then glanced at Marco's dejected face. "Anyway, don't you recognize that name, Marco?" Marco looked at him confused. Whitebeard laughed lightly. "That name, Portasti, Ace. It's him, that guy's son." Marco's pineapple-like face became surprised as he blinked. "Pops, is this fate?" Whitebeard didn't answer, he just laughed. He wanted to say anything, but before he could, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly heated up. A voice filled with determination cooed, "I will defeat you, Whitebeard." It was the voice of Ace, the pawn of the Sky Emperor. He managed to reach the strongest man. It was just a matter of seconds before he would get trashed. As he rushed forward, Whitebeard grinned and prepared his fist coated in quake power. Ace has been looking for Whitebeard pirates for a while now, however, he couldn't find them at all. Still, he was the son of the old era's luckiest man. His luck led him to this island where no human was supposed to reach. To his shock, he found them, the Whitebeard pirates, resting here. It was another shock to him seeing how a pirate crew was so happy and cheerful, but it didn't matter much. "I have to follow the plan Fool made for me with the cost of his life." His motive was clear. I have to join the Whitebeard pirates at any cost. Yes, he was determined. And the best possible way for him to achieve that goal was to challenge the strongest man alive and make him take him in. Just as Fool said. Thinking this, he approached Whitebeard. However, inside the small sphere surrounding Whitebeard's first, space crackled and popped fiercely. The cracks in the space were visible to the naked eye. More cracks appeared in the air as his fist slammed into Ace's chest. Ace's eyes grew as he realized. He lost before the fight even started. To think a single slam on the chest was enough to take me down. While coughing out blood and flying meters back, Ace understood. Whitebeard was also a monster at the level of the strongest creature. While light was barely entering his eyes, he saw a massive hand asking to be held. "You, become my son." The deep voice of Whitebeard flowed within his ears. Ace grinned internally as he felt his adrenaline wear off and lost consciousness. Of course, even then, he didn't forget to grab the large hand. On the other hand, in Marineford, the Fleet Admiral Sengoku was in his office. He was often releasing deep breaths while working on some papers. Suddenly, he put the pen down aggressively. "This is frustrating." It's been 2 days since he got any news from Tsuru or the reinforcements. Needless to say, he was aware of what might have happened. But why? He questioned himself. Tsuru reported she captured half of the Kuja and was on her way here. Then what caused her sudden disappearance? The most likely answer was a natural disaster. The least likely was someone ambushed them. It was least likely because Tsuru was strong. Sengoku didn't know what to make out of this. "The higher-ups are pressuring me like never before." First, a few days ago, there was news of a fight between Kaido and an unidentified man. The spies implanted in the Beast Pirates informed me that Kaido lost an eye in that battle. And now, the disappearance of a strong marine with the potential failure of an important mission. Still, I am pretty curious to know who was strong enough to have done that to Kaido. In his mind, Sengoku had some names, but from a broader perspective, it seemed impossible. Also Kazara. Sengoku sighed. He is also pretty unsatisfied with his prosthetic arm, most because of the mocking he got from Zephyr. Finally, thinking that he needs a breather, Sengoku stood up. He said as he walked to the door, also that Garp. He has been acting grumpy too because of that kid Ace. 200 million belly bounty. He is a known pirate now. Sigh, Lord help me. Chapter 158. 2 days. Amon POV. 2 days have passed since I saved Boa Hancock. Currently, I am in the kitchen of the marine ship, cooking food for the Kuja people. There are others helping me, but I'm the one that's in charge of everything. Fortunately, even though the ship didn't have enough ration for me to cook food for all of them, combining the other ship's rations, we somehow managed the past 2 days. Standing in front of the huge pot, I added many different kinds of cut-up vegetables into it. The pot soon released a juicy, delicious aroma, making Amon's mouth water a bit. Smells good. My cooking skills weren't the best in the world, but it's better than most professional chefs. After all, I had to learn how to cook those alien creatures, which left me with many ideas that I could use to cook new dishes. Sorry to make you work so hard, young man. The voice of an old woman said behind me. I looked back to find Gloriosa, the oldest woman among the Kujas. It seems the Marines took her on the ships rather than leaving her behind. The last 2 days she acted very kindly towards me, probably because I am an important figure more than the fact that I saved them. Now that I really think about myself, I really am one of the people at the top of this world. A smile bloomed on my face. A few more years, then I'll be at the top of the world. I turned around to meet the eyes of the old woman with a soft smile. It's nothing, I said. Cooking is my hobby. Besides, it's not like I have anything else to do. She slowly nodded to me. Still, if you feel like you don't want to, just ask anyone. They'll take your place for you. I smiled again. Thank you for treating me so kindly. I didn't expect the Kujas to act so generously towards me even though they are rumored to not like men at all. Haha, I know what you mean. The woman sighed after a while. Truthfully, I was a little scared of you at the beginning. But to think you were such a fine young man, I feel a bit guilty. This made me chuckle. Doesn't matter. As long as the end's well, all's well. The woman snickered hearing me. Indeed. I also laughed. But suddenly. Oh, by the way, how's the pirate empress been doing? It's already noon, but I haven't seen her since last night. I said in a tone as if I haven't been waiting to ask this. The old woman shook her head. Let's not talk about her. She locked herself in her room. She says she will come out when she is hungry. She never acted this way before. Sorry if this hurts your pride. That girl is just like that. I chuckled again. No worries. The people I live around are all a little special, so I am used to this. Hearing me, the old lady released a relieved sigh. She really was nervous around me, an emperor of the sea. Even with her old mind, she understands how much value I actually hold. Also, Boa Hancock hasn't experienced the sickness yet. I was confident she would go crazy over me in these 2 days. After all, I did prepare for it a long time ago. By humiliating the nobles and even going as far as giving her the knowledge that Kizaru was the one to technically kill Fisher Tiger. However, it seems I forgot the fact that this is a dire situation. The worry for her people is suppressing her other emotions. I stopped as I was about to pour some salt into the pot. I chuckled as the thought crossed my mind. I am worrying why a girl isn't falling for me yet? That was new. But that was not the case. Make no mistake, I am not caring about Boa Hancock because of her being the most beautiful woman. Yes, I do enjoy women, the feeling of dominating someone, but I never let my hormones do the thinking. All my actions with the Kujas are for one reason, and that's manipulation. Boa Hancock is just an essential subordinate who can one-shot even the strongest of people. No, her ability won't work on emperors. However, it definitely would work on the admirals, who surprisingly lack super strong hockey because of depending on their devil fruits too much. Anyway, the matter is not who her power works against. The matter is, I somehow need her to be Yonko commander level by the year 1522 when my main plan starts. Conquering the world sounds big, but it isn't practical with my current army and power. I also need to go after that fruit which is essential for my 3 devil fruit goal. From my calculation, even another 100 of the current me can't beat Emo. Without 3 devil fruits, I can't match his 800-year-old hockey. Emo, now that I think about it, I know practically nothing about him. All I know is he is more than 800 years old from Seraph's small portions of memory. What's his devil fruit? I don't know. What's his hockey level? I don't know. What's his gender? I don't even know that. ZHH. As the burned scent of radish entered my nose, I was shocked to see the food getting overburned. Ah, shit. An explosion happened as my face was painted black. The food was destroyed. I guess I need to make it new again. Today the weather was a bit strange in the eveAny. It was raining lightly, but there was still sunlight. This was an interesting spectacle. In the most glorious chamber within the eveAny, a throne existed. It is the representation that no one rules the eveAny because this is the throne that no one can sit on, not even the celestial dragons. However, that was surely not the case, as today, right now, a person clad in white robes was sitting on the throne that was above a few staircases. While resting his chin on his hand, the being's blood-red eyes were staring at the air, as if seeing something that wasn't even there. A strange snicker left his mouth as he cooed. This one is strange. He acts as if he knows what will happen in the future. What is he? Someone who traveled to the past? No. He soon canceled that possibility. There was no way to travel to the past. One can only go to the future. He soon had another guess. Maybe. No. That's impossible too. There is no way someone can enter here from outside when I can't get out from the inside. A few minutes passed as his face under the veil he was wearing a frown the whole time. Finally, after 4 minutes, the man found something amusing. He said in a voice filled with nostalgia, "He is in a way similar to me. World domination, huh? I had the same dream. I did things that I shouldn't have. But look where that brought me." A chuckle left her cherry lips. At the top of everything. Alone. But the next second his face under the veil went expressionless. It's not fun. Another few minutes passed as the being released a strangely heavy sigh. "Let's see how long you can go, Amon. You are amusing to me. One of the 5 reasons I haven't killed you yet." His face formed an amusing smile. "Even though you can't hear me, I would like to give you a piece of advice." Gently, a purple aura surrounded him as his voice echoed. "Doesn't matter how many strong subordinates you possess, Amon. If you aren't good enough yourself, not even in your dream will you be able to take this throne from me, for if you are a god, I am the god himself." The aura gradually became thicker as the body of the being disappeared, as if he never existed there. Chapter 159. Mr. 2. Deep down in the sea, 3 mermen were swimming around a giant mermaid. They were the 3 princes and the single princess of Fishman Island and the whole Fishman race as a whole. The sea, like usual, was filled with fishes. However, strangely, this time around, there were tens of sea kings surrounding that were swimming everywhere. The reason was, this was the region of sea kings, where even Neptune would not dare come. However, of course, Poseidon didn't have any worries. The mermaid princess, Shirahoshi, said in a cheerful voice looking at the sea kings, "Everyone, I missed you a lot." Hearing this, the sea king, as if understanding what she meant, cooed in a highly echoing voice. "Kua, wubu." The sounds made Shirahoshi laugh in a blissful voice. "Ahaha. It's nice to see you guys too." It was quite strange seeing how she was talking with beings who were believed to be mindless. Meanwhile, her 3 brothers were smiling lightly seeing her happy smile. The older and most responsible brother said, "It's nice seeing her so happy. If only father and mother could come here every day too." The 2 brothers nodded hearing him. "You are right. It certainly is a pity." Then, the older brother again said in a hurried voice, "Oh, have you heard? That Skypiean man, he is in Sea Emperor now." The 2 brothers looked at him confused. "That's old news, Aniki. Why are you bringing him up now?" The older prince just laughed. "Haha, nothing much really. I just remembered, if he wasn't there, mother wouldn't have been with us. Not only that, we would have been forced to keep Shira locked in her room." The youngest brother laughed hearing him. "I know, right? He is really at the top of the good humans I have met. Without him, I don't think we would have been eligible to participate in the upcoming reverie that would come in 2 years. Yeah, I guess you were right." "Ha ha ha. Yes, yes." While the 3 boys laughed to themselves, the princess giggled with the sea kings. This time around, she wasn't a crybaby. She was a lot more mature than the canon since she wasn't unfortunate enough to stay locked in her room. There were some incidents because of this change though, such as many pirates trying to capture her and even nobles from across the world desiring her, but it was all resolved because of Shandora or Whitebeard's reputation. Shirahoshi hasn't shown her power since awakening the first time yet. However, she can converse with the sea kings using which she built a close relationship with the fishes. And most importantly, Amon knew about it all. In the Skypiean, a small artificial island was floating 4 kilometers far from the Shandora. It was the remodeled Gecko Moria ship, the new thriller bark. In the mansion that was hidden behind many architectures, Yona was sleeping soundly. It was already noon, but she was still asleep. It's because she has been very tired lately, worrying about Amon. Yona heard Amon was injured, deadly injured. but her work on making the prison was stopping her from visiting him. She felt the jailer, was jailed here. It was a frustrating feeling, the feeling of not being for her God when he needs her most. Fortunately, before she lost herself, Amon made a sudden return to Shandora along with Raki, and Yona was able to meet him. Although he spent most of her time with him when he was here, it has already been 3 days since they left again, so Yona gave her all and almost finished making the prison. A prison where lied the eternal night, where the red moon never sets and the sounds of sea waves never end. Here, thousands of shadows existed, with the owners of those shadows. This was a place that would be very important to Amon. This was the underworld. On above it's a cheerful park, but for the people underground, this was hell. Suddenly, Yona, who was sleeping silently, opened her eyes instantly. An irritated voice escaped her lips. Someone is trying to escape. Those fools. She has put a few shadow clones in watch, but one of them has been destroyed. Yona sighed and released her observation hockey to the direction she thinks the escapee is. However, she opened her eyes widely the next second and yawned. Yawn. Looks like I was worrying for nothing. The humming swordsman had already taken care of the matter. That evil spirit. He is cruel unlike I thought previously. Yona tiredly fell on her soft pillow and slowly closed her eyes. I will talk with him later. Yes. She released a heavy yawn and went back to sleep. Meanwhile, in Alabasta, at the capital, the main branch of Wingless Valkyrie existed. This branch is managed by Robin, who mostly stays in Alabasta Palace these days. While Robin was sitting in the big chair with an amicable smile on her face, she was looking at the few people in front of her. Today, a few new people were getting their promotions. A buff black man, a woman with bush-like hair, a middle-aged man with black hair, a little girl at the age of 16, another less buff black man, a woman with blonde hair. They were the people who were the main cast of Baroque works in the canon. Since such an organization didn't exist in this world, they joined Wingless Valkyrie. They were also a lot stronger than canon, as they knew hockey. Robin said in an indifferent voice, "All right. Then from now on, your code names would be changed. Mr. 1 and Miss Double Finger, you two are a team. Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week, you two are a team. Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, you two are a team." While everyone nodded, the man in the middle wearing heavy makeup and flamboyant ballet clothes of a swan theme looked ahead confused. Wait a minute, what about me? I don't see someone I'd partner with. Perhaps it's you, Miss All Sunday, said the man with an idiotic smile. But Robin shook her head. No, you also have a partner. Miss Full Night. She is currently out on a mission at Fishman Island. I hope I am clear, Mr. 2. The man, Mr. 2, also nodded with a bitter face. Robin continued. There are 20 people at the top of this organization. Even though you have names such as Mr. 1 and Mr. 5, don't think there are no people above you. You are simply the ranks that outsiders can achieve. The ones above you are all insiders, like Mont Cricket and me. Robin finished her words in a nonchalant voice. A blonde girl, Miss Valentine, who's been working for Amon ever since 5 years ago, questioned, Wait, does that mean we can't get any more promotions? Robin giggled. Rather than thinking that way, think that you have reached the epitome of your work life. She said, We are a large group of 30,000 members, even after so many people left after Lucy became an emperor. To be in the top 20 here, that's a big achievement for you all. Robin stared at Miss Valentine as she nodded helplessly. Valentine has a weak power that lets her weigh more or less. It's not that practical in real-life combat, but after she learned Marine's 6 powers, it became a useful ability, letting her climb to the top of this group filled with monsters. Robin thought, she is the least talented here. No, the least talented is that Mr. 5 dude. Lucy said he needs brainwashing since his power is too powerful. Theoretically, he can one day reach Whitebeard's level. It gives me chills just thinking about it. After shaking her head lightly, Robin then looked at their faces. Anyway, everyone can take a one-day rest as a promotional gift from me. But remember, after the rest, you have to return to full power. Yes, ma'am. Everyone cheered at once and backed off slowly, leaving the room, leaving Robin and Miss Valentine behind. Miss Valentine walked closer to the desk and leaned forward. Hey, Robin, where is the boss? He is busy, and watch your tone, Robin answered as she sipped a packed mango juice that is made in Skypea. The sweet flavor of mango. I now know why Lucy is addicted to it. The blonde woman yelled impatiently, Hey, come on. He came back from wherever he went 2 months ago, yet he hasn't met me once. Robin sighed helplessly. Why would he? He doesn't even have enough time to spend with me. You are just a girl who he used for stress relief. Valentine frowned as she wanted to slam Robin's face. Who do you think you are, you wannabe sister? How long did you keep up the act? Only 2 years before you begged to be fucked, you whore. You, watch your mouth. Shut up. Valentine turned around. I hate your attitude the most. Don't worry, I will meet him somehow, even if I need to visit the sky. Saying this, she left through the door. As if nothing happened, Robin took a sip from her juice. I warned you to not fuck too many girls or something bad will happen. Look at this now. She soon sighed. Though I don't believe you won't think twice before brainwashing her. Your cruelty is what amuses me the most, my love. Robin giggled to herself and dreamed of her nights with Amon as her eyelids slowly closed themselves. Chapter 160. Final game at play. I opened my eyes slowly under the radiant light. Wham. Yawning slowly, I noticed it was already morning. This is the 3rd day of my journey with the Kuja pirates. It took us 3 days since we left in the evening. Scratching my tight abs, I got up from the bed and walked closer to the bathroom. The bathroom is smaller than the one in my shrine, but it's fine, I guess. Amazon Lily is 287 kilometers from here. I can sense it. It will take a few more hours. Thinking such, I picked up the brush and rubbed it against my beautiful teeth. While staring at the mirror, where a naked man was staring at me, I spent my time brushing. Sleeping naked feels surprisingly good. If only there was someone to accompany the night. No, not this again. A sigh escaped involuntarily. I am acting too laid back these days. To be frank, my fight with Kaido only served to boost my fighting spirit, nothing more. Or at least it's not showing yet. After dressing myself, I went to the deck where a dining table was prepared for me. Ah, young man, you are here. The old lady was sitting in one of the chairs as she greeted me, and I nodded in response. In the table with 5 chairs, for we're already occupied by the old lady, Hancock, and the 2 other Boa sisters. I walked forward and sat on the chair in the middle, opposite Hancock. While staring at me with an indifferent look in her eyes, Boa Hancock was wearing a red kimono that was showing her cleavage. This made me release a blissful smile. Should I? A thought crossed my mind. I wasn't worried about flirting with her anymore, because even if I crossed the line, she won't mind it. Pirate Empress, you are looking as charming as ever with that arrogant and indifferent look of yours. As I said this, Hancock's eyes grew ever so slightly as she avoided eye contact and ignored me. Of course, this might seem strange after I said I wasn't after her on the first day, but it didn't matter to her. Her mind's already corrupted. Kind of scary how fast this woman changes her desires, which is why I am taking the initiative. Surprising me, Hancock opened her mouth. You don't need to act formally with me. Calling me Hancock is fine. I smiled immediately. Perfect. Deciding to carefully choose my next words, I used my weak future sight to look for words. It didn't take more than 3 seconds of silence from my side as I found some words. If you ask, Hancock. It was a simple line, but I saw the immediate effect of it as her body shook ever so slightly. I continued in an informal tone. Though I am curious, where did you vanish yesterday? Boa Hancock stiffened visibly. I was feeling unwell, so I was taking a rest in my room. Of course. I obviously knew what happened. She was indeed feeling unwell. It was the early symptom of love sickness. Yet, she somehow managed to suppress herself to not break down. I have to admit, that's a strong spirit. Thinking that this was the perfect opportunity to progress forward, I stood up with a worried face and walked closer to her. What are you, Dash? Before the surprised Boa Hancock could react, I touched her chin and raised it towards my face. Indeed, I see some redness in your cheeks. That's not good. If you're sick, you need to see a doctor. Not to brag, but I have quite good skill in this field. As I kept talking, Boa Hancock's indifferent face crumbled to dust and a blush appeared on her face. The other 3 people had different reactions. The 2 Boa sisters seemed infuriated, while the old lady was calm. The old lady, Gloriosa said, yes. She refused to see any other doctors, saying it was embarrassing. Perhaps you can find what's wrong with her. I nodded. It seems Hancock hasn't told her symptoms to the old granny yet. Sad. Things would have progressed much smoothly that way. I removed my hands from Hancock's cheeks as I was about to turn around. Wait for a second. I will bring some medicines. That's enough. However, before I could fully turn around, Hancock snapped. She aggressively stood up from her seat and glared at me. I made a caught of guard face as I looked at her surprised. Never touch me without asking, ever again. Just being an emperor of the sea doesn't give you that qualification. She simply turned around and started to walk away. While the other two Boa sisters tried to run to her, she shot them a look. Don't follow me. I lost my appetite. As the morning sun shined brightly above our heads, a grumpy Boa Hancock left the ship's deck. However, my eyes were still on her, while jumped in her bed and covered her face shamefully. General POV. W. What's wrong with me? Boa Hancock thought as her body temperature rose while she was laying on her bed. She was covering her forehead with her forearm while clenching her heart with her other hand. Her face was as red as a tomato as she breathed hot and heavy breaths. Why do I feel like this? Why did I feel pain in my heart when I talked harshly to him? Boa Hancock felt all her pride crumbling. He is just another man. So why did I feel pain when I saw that shocked look on his face? Boa Hancock was at the edge, almost losing herself to the pain in her heart. This was the rumored lovesickness, and frankly, it really was dangerous if one doesn't cure it as soon as possible. As a few minutes passed, a knock fell on the door. Big sister? Are you all right? It was the voice of Sander Sonia, the greed-haired Boa sister. Hancock regained a bit of her almost lost sense as she raised her head and looked at the door. Sander Sonia. Sister, we have been together forever, through hardships and bliss. You shouldn't hide it from us if you're sick. We don't want to lose you. The more Sander Sonia talked, the more Hancock regained her senses. That's right. I still have to ensure my sister's people's safety. Hancock released a heavy sigh as the redness in her cheeks shrunk visibly. She said, Sander Sonia, I am fine now. No need to worry anymore. I will eat my food at night. I just need a little bit of sleep. Is that fine? The cheerful voice of Sander Sonia sounded out. Oh, really? Then please rest, big sister. I will come and wake you up at night. Though I think we would most likely reach Amazon Lily by evening. Anyway, take a rest. She then said, then I will be going. Her gradually fading footsteps entered Hancock's ears as she sighed. She looked at the desk in the room and walked closer. From the many things on the desk, she picked up a bottle of sleeping tablets and took a breath. I hope this helps me calm down. At least until I reach the Amazon Lily. She opened the cap and put a few tablets in her mouth, next grabbing a glass of water and drinking it. Hancock was aware she wouldn't be able to suppress this heavy feeling in her chest after reaching Amazon Lily and ensuring her people's safety. So she was scared. How exactly will she get by then? From another room of the ship, Amon smirked as he read her mind. It was evening. Raki was in the house of a short red-haired Kuja that she saved. Is this really all right? The sweet voice of the redhead sounded out as she covered her chest with her hand. Although I don't mind being naked with my other sisters. I feel like there is something different about you. Yes, the woman was completely naked now. Raki was trying to teach her how bonds between two sisters can grow deeper. Haha, try not to feel embarrassed. Raki laughed as she walked closer to her, still in her clothes. Embarrassment is not a true emotion. In ancient times, people were always naked. There was no embarrassment to shackle down their feelings. And that's how it should be. Raki slowly raised her hand towards the redhead's chest and said with a cheeky smile, Now then, will you help me undress? As Raki was about to finish her line, a loud voice flowed within the air. Everyone, the pirate empress is back. She really is back. It was the devil fruit of a Kuja that lets her talk in a really loud voice. A frown appeared on Raki's face as she drew back her hand. We will continue it, some other day. Let's meet the pirate empress now, she said in a dejected and slightly annoyed voice as she turned around. Raki walked out of the room while stomping on her path, leaving a confused redhead Kuja behind. Chapter 161. Hancock was sleeping in a room inside the ship when a sudden knock came from the door. Knock, knock. Hancock. It was Amon's voice. Hancock, who had taken several sleeping pills, opened her eyes immediately upon hearing that. After the fight a few days ago, her guard was up, and also the voice outside the door sounded heavy to her. She looked at the door, rubbing her eyes. Who was that voice just now? Amon's voice echoed inside the room once again after another knock came from the door. Hancock, get up. We are at our destination, Amon said in a neutral tone. Hancock remained silent for a few seconds because she was still feeling sleepy because of the medicine. Amon's confused voice echoed inside the room. Is she still asleep? Should I teleport inside? Hancock flinched instantly. She felt very hot, so her clothes were messed up, and the marks on her back were unveiled. No way, if he comes in now he will see my slave mark. Quickly Hancock adjusted her clothes, though she soon recalled his words from the first day. Wait, he already knows I was a slave. In a few seconds, her days with him flashed before her eyes. She recalled how nicely he treated her, even though he knew she was a filthy slave. He is really a good man. Hancock's sleepy mind cleared as she released a sigh. There's no need, Sky Emperor, she said and tidied her clothes. I am already awake. Oh, okay then. Oh, I can see the Kujas from here. You should come out now. Amon sounded out. Anyway, I'll be waiting for you on the deck. Come quickly. Amon's footsteps sounded out before gradually vanishing, leaving a perplexed Hancock behind. I am starting to heat up again. Breathing in and out a few times, Hancock then stood up. A little more my body. Hancock held on. She was the pirate empress. Something so small won't be a hurdle on her path. At the seashore, Amazon Lily. Everyone, the pirate empress is here. While the continuous voice was flowing through the whole island, a crowd was gathered at the seashore. Riki was among the crowd, wearing a white t-shirt and holding her hands behind her head. So boring. Riki yawned. She has been waiting for Hancock to arrive, but this was too boring. She was also annoyed by being cock-blocked by Amon yet again. He always ruins the fun when it's about to begin. Sigh, whatever. Riki shook her head and looked through the crowd for a new chick. She was practically the hero of Amazon Lily. The fact of being a female only added to that part as nobody doubted her. People did pretty much anything she asked at this point. After all, she was a hero who would never do anything that would harm them. As everyone waited, the ships finally came closer to the shore, with Boa Hancock on the edge of the deck on the ship in the middle. As everyone saw her face in fine state, they cheered as if their lives had been spared. Snake Empress. Snake Empress. Snake Empress. Snake Empress. Snake Empress. Snake Empress. Everyone cheered as Hancock looked down at them from above. She took a deep breath in and loudly said, Everyone, I, the Snake Empress, have returned completely fine. I am sincerely sorry that I lost and endangered your lives, yet I am happy you are fine too. The wind blew Hancock's hair on the other side as she beamed with a flashy smile. I failed you. I failed the whole Kuja. Still, all of you will forgive me, won't you? Seeing the shining eyes of the crowd, Hancock's voice grew more confident. Why? Because I am beautiful. A short silence fell upon the crowd, but it didn't last long. Kia, Snake Empress. The next instant, the crowd cheered together. This was the power of beauty. They were about to be captured, to rot in that hell-named Impel Down, yet they forgave their actual ruler after a single line from her. I am impressed. Amon was truly impressed and convinced that his decision to go after Boa Hancock wasn't wrong. She is weak, very weak, but that's a fact only for now. With her beauty and devil fruit, she is bound to be a strong subordinate considering she is also supposed to have all three types of haki. Currently, she is a powerful woman, but in the future, she will be the strongest woman. Currently, other than Yamato, Boa Hancock is most suitable to grow into the strongest woman of the world. Oh, also Riki. Amon stared at Hancock with an arrogant smile, but soon a frown appeared on his face as he noticed something. Riki was down there, staring at Hancock's with shining golden eyes while her nose was bleeding. Wait. She can see her naked, can't she? Amon sighed and rubbed his nose. Soon, Boa Hancock jumped down from the ship as everyone surrounded her. It's been around half an hour since Boa Hancock came down. There was a large crowd surrounding her, examining her body for any injury. Riki tried to use this chance to feast her hands, but she couldn't get an entry to the crowd. Meanwhile, Amon stood far from the crowd near a coconut tree while eating snacks. He was enjoying the sunlight as the evening was setting. While eating, he noticed Riki running towards him from afar and nudged him. She wrapped her arms around his neck and stared at him with puppy-like eyes. Hey, brother. Introduce me to her. Those whores aren't letting me go inside. No, Amon answered simply. She is mine, stay away. Riki looked more impatient hearing him as she forced her eyes to become teary. Come on. You get all the goods. Why not share some with me? Am I not your sister? Amon deadpanned hearing her. That's the point, my sis. You aren't supposed to be interested in girls. I know you aren't lesbian. Riki flinched after hearing him as she coughed. Ahem. I am not lesbian, you know. It's just that the males around me don't deserve me, you see. The next second, she pressed her chest against him and smiled cheekily. Other than you, of course. Amon chuckled softly. Oh, really? Then, with an expressionless face, he just pushed her away. But if you really seek my attention so much, just say it. Say, brother, let's do it. See if I accept it or not. A few seconds later, a slight blush appeared on Ricky's face. She again wrapped her arms around his neck but didn't answer him. In reality, Amon knew why she never said it herself. The reason made him chuckle. It's pretty ironic how such a bold girl like her is so shy. Though it only makes sense if I think about it. I am, after all, her symbol of hope, respect, love, and even fear. Ricky silently hugged Amon. He hugged her back while continuing to think. With so many symbols clashing, she is against taking the initiative. I for myself don't care much. I am not desperate enough to take the initiative with this little girl. While Amon patted her head, Ricky raised her head and looked at his eyes with wet eyes. You know what? Fuck you. Before she could finish her words, though, an arrogant yet feminine voice entered both of their ears. You lowlife, get away from him. Lowlife? Which bitch dares? Ricky frowned as she turned her head to look at the source of the voice. A tall female in a red kimono was walking towards the two siblings while raising her head upward, looking down at Ricky. The moment Ricky shot the woman, Hancock, a glance, blood flowed from her nostrils. She was seeing something heavenly with wisdom eyes. Ah, such a nice body she has. Ricky staggered upon her feet, but Amon helped her stand in her spot by grabbing her by her shoulders. Hancock frowned upon seeing this. Amon then said, looking at Hancock, Yo, this is Ricky, the girl I was talking about. I am sure your people told you about her already. Hancock observed Ricky's body from head to toe. I see, she's not bad. Ahem, yes, my people told me how heroically she protected Amazon Lily from destruction, but... Hancock wanted to scream, that doesn't permit her to touch you so daringly. But she managed to control herself, for Amon's sake. Hancock stared at Ricky, especially how she had her arms wrapped around Amon's neck. Hancock took a deep breath as she looked at Amon and asked humbly, if I may ask, who is this girl to you? She is my sister. She got an instant answer. Instantly, a tremendous weight was lifted off Hancock's heart. Ah, that's better. She instantly looked at Ricky again, who was covering her nose. This time, as Hancock looked at Ricky, a strange smile was on her face. She bowed lightly. I thank you for protecting the Amazon Lily in my absence. Ricky's eyelids twitched. What was this sudden change? Still, she didn't mind. This only meant she might get to have a better relationship with her. Hancock then cleared her throat. Anyway, we can get acquainted later, but there is something important today. Hancock couldn't finish her words as the old lady Gloriosa walked there too. Her old voice continued from where Hancock stopped. Since we just defended against a big hurdle not so long ago, more so with 0 casualties, we have decided to hold a large banquet throughout the island. What do you think, young man? Amon nodded. Certainly, I will participate. I still haven't finished my talk with Hancock about the merging, after all. Gloriosa nodded. She also wanted Hancock to accept the offer. He is an emperor, the only emperor we have a good relationship with. It's better to join him than the other ones. Gloriosa decided to somehow convince Hancock with a sigh. If only he didn't have a wife, things would have been much better. While Gloriosa regretted Hancock simped, and Ricky pursued other girls, the banquet finally began. Amon POV. It's midnight. The banquet has been going on for hours now. I have stopped eating for a while and am currently enjoying the belly dance performed by the Kujas. Ricky became drunk, so she is also dancing, though her rhythm is bad. I was sipping coffee and waiting for my call. The call that will change the history of this island. Boa Hancock is going through that phase. It's been a few hours since Hancock stomped back to her room after I deliberately flirted with a female Kuja. Marguerite her name was. Anyway, it had the effect I wanted it to have. She was feeling jealous, which caused her to break down pretty fast. With my observation, hockey, I can see inside her room. Currently, she is sweating heavily in her bed, barely breathing. If this keeps going like this, it won't be a stretch to say that she would die in less than 2 days. It's shocking how something as silly and ridiculous as lovesickness is real. I chuckled, which caused my coffee to almost choke me. Soon, as I was waiting, I heard the footsteps of a tiny figure. Young man. It was the old lady, Gloriosa. While sipping coffee, I looked at her wrinkled face, confused. Yes. She opened her mouth to say something but sighed in the end. I said, it's fine. Ask anything. It's better than regretting later. The old lady looked at me gratefully. Thank you. But it might be too much of me to ask this, but can you please come with me? This is a matter of life and death for Hancock, she said with a worried voice. While grinning internally, I instantly stood up with a pretentious, shocked face. What happened? I deliberately closed her eyes to make it seem like I am using observation hockey and said, "No need to explain anymore. Please lead me to her. I think I have a way around this." The old lady kept staring at me gratefully. The lady then led me to Hancock's room. I had only one thing to say as I stepped inside the room where moaning sounds were coming from. How easy this is. Chapter 163, Conquering Amazon Lily. Hancock opened her eyes under the radiant sunlight. The first thing she saw was Amon's face in front of her. A red hue appeared on her face as she smiled, recalling the last night. Hancock was laying on her left side, looking at Amon, who was on his back with his eyes closed. He looked so handsome. Hancock instinctively went for a kiss on his cheek as Amon's eyes opened immediately just as her lips touched his skin. Yelping, Hancock drew back her face. "Why, you are awake?" Hancock asked as she avoided eye contact, acting as if she was never trying to kiss him just now. Amon stayed silent for a while before saying, "Hug me tight." Immediately, Hancock's body moved on her own as she hugged him tightly, her face resting on his chest. Though she still asked, "Why all of a sudden?" Amon chuckled softly as he hugged her back. "Just testing if last night was a dream or not. Or maybe you were just drunk. It's good to be clear of these things." Hancock hugged him tighter. "I was not drunk. I was sane the whole time. I enjoyed every bit of my time with you." Amon patted Hancock's naked back. "That's good. Anyway, I prepared a gift for you while you were asleep." Hancock raised her head and looked at Amon with curiosity. "A gift? Wasn't last night enough of a gift?" Amon didn't answer and got up from his bed. Zzz. He entered lightning speed and wore his black pants. Returning back to normal, he then searched through his belt and took out a camera. "Turn around. Let me take a picture of your back," Amon ordered. Hancock did what he asked obediently. "Like this?" Hancock asked while facing the other side, bringing her hair on the front, thus revealing her back, her shame. Yet, currently, she didn't feel any shame. She recalled his words from last night. "Don't feel ashamed. You are beautiful." "Yes, like that." Amon raised his camera in the air and clicked the button, capturing the picture of Hancock's back. Something was different about it. Click. Hancock flinched slightly, hearing the unexpected sound as she turned around. "You took a picture of my back?" Amon didn't answer as the camera printed out a photo. A normal human eye is 576 megapixels, and the camera in Amon's hand was 1,400 megapixels, so the photo it caught was clear like water. Amon handed the photo to Hancock. "What do you think of this as my gift for your outstanding performance last night?" Hancock accepted the picture with a little nervousness in her eyes. She was thinking, did he somehow remove the mark in my back? With hope filled in her eyes, she slowly looked at the picture, instantly becoming shocked. "Wah." Hancock's eyes slowly grew. It was better than she expected. She looked at Amon with wide, wet eyes. "You tattooed my back?" The whole night, Amon's wings were merged with his body. He used his Logia body to mix his wings with his back, but in response, it left a mark on his back, the tattoos of a pair of wings. And in the picture Amon handed to Hancock, she also had a tattoo on her back. It was also the tattoo of a pair of wings, exactly the same as Amon's. As for how this happened, this was possible because of extreme control over electricity. For years, Amon has been learning art and sculpting techniques taught by Robin. Using lightning as a brush, Amon burned Hancock's skin skillfully, thus drawing a permanent tattoo. As for why she didn't wake up while the procedure was happening, only Amon knew. "How do you like it?" "Although it was possible to remove that slave mark and clean your back, I thought this looked cooler. It even matches mine, as if we are some sort of couple," Amon said, but Hancock stayed silent, only tears dripping down her cheeks. Do you not like it? I can remove it if you want." Interrupting Amon, Hancock immediately shot up from the bed and hugged him tightly. Never remove it. It's the symbol of our love," she said, with each line ending with the hug tightening. "I am so happy the slave mark is gone. But I am happier I have your wings on my back now. I love you." Amon patted her back and chuckled softly. "Careful. Don't love a person you just met 4 days ago." Hancock raised her head and looked at his eyes with determination. "I choose to love you. I will never in my life regret loving you." Amon smiled and pushed her head back to his chest. He was hardly surprising himself from laughing like a maniac. "She's the easiest woman I've ever met in my life. I guess anything can happen in an anime world." Amon stroked her head like a puppy while saying, "So, what do you think about joining me with all your people?" "Don't be silly. I will obviously join you. I will do anything you say," Hancock replied immediately. Amon patted her head. Think about it a little more. I am not in a hurry. Hancock, just because you love me doesn't mean I will force you into joining me. You have your freedom. Freedom? You are my pet now. Amon thought while his body trembled in excitement. Hancock raised her head and kissed Amon. After canceling this kiss, Hancock said, I am not deciding it all of a sudden. I decided the moment you saved me. I know the Marines will try to capture me again, so I need protection. So I selfishly chose to join you back then. But now, after so many things happened between us, I can't contain myself without having you by my side. Please, accept me, Amon. Amon nodded slowly. Of course, that's why I came here. But Amon made a serious face, making Hancock nervous. Don't you think we should take a bath? We are dirty after last night. It's better to take a bath. Amon replied to Hancock's yelp. Hancock looked confused. Do we need to take baths after doing tea that? Sorry, I never knew. I was never allowed to bathe after the nobles tortured me. So I am sorry. Hancock looked down, but Amon just hugged her tightly. It's not your fault. Don't forget, I am here. I will make those noble bastards pay for what they did to my lover. Hancock's body trembled as she smiled. A lover. Ahem. Anyway, let's take a bath first. Hancock suggested, looking at Amon with a sweet smile. Soon after, Hancock directed Amon to her bathhouse below the mansion where they started to bathe together. Meanwhile, yawn. Riki got up with a yawn while rubbing her eyes. She looked around her. She was at the banquet hall, lying on the floor with many other kujas. I slept here. Huh? She rubbed her eyes and looked around. Brother is not here. Bastard didn't even wake me up. Grinding her teeth, Riki stood up amongst the bodies laying down and sleeping. She did some small stretch to relax her limbs as a terrible odor entered her eyes. Sniff? I stink real bad. I need to bathe. Stopping her breath, Riki recalled the bathhouse a Kuja showed her 3 days ago. Although she hasn't used it yet, since she was too busy with the girls to bathe. However, today her body was stinking too much to ignore. Riki then walked closer to the bathhouse while yawning. Chim. While Amon was dipping up to his waist on the water, Hancock was on top of him with her arms locked around his neck. Hancock took the initiative for a kiss as Amon was just doing as she wished. After canceling the kiss, Amon rubbed her back. Let's stop here, or the bathwater would get wasted. Hancock nodded with a red face. She pleaded, then, one last kiss? Amon smiled as Hancock pushed her face closer. However, before the kiss even started, the door of the bathhouse cracked open. Creak. The next second, a familiar voice entered the bathhouse. It would have been much better if some girls were accompanying me. As the bored voice came to a stop, both Amon and Hancock looked in the direction of the voice. Instantly Amon broke out laughing as the voice yelled, What the hell? Why you? Again? Fuck this. Seeing the person, Riki, yell, Hancock instinctively covered her chest, but the next second, recalling Amon's words, Don't be ashamed to show your naked body, because you are beautiful. She then proudly showed off her chest. Riki's eyelids twitched seeing this. I am out. I quit. I am done. Fuck you. Amon kept laughing like a broken radio while Riki stomped out of the room. Hancock innocently looked at Amon. What happened? Amon just stretched his limbs. It's nothing. Ignore her. To begin with, it was her fault that she didn't notice their presence with her hockey. Hancock nodded obediently. I understand. Soon, Amon and Hancock completed their bath as Hancock dressed in a new dress. She also decided it was time to declare the merging of Kuja pirates with Sky Emperor to the whole tribe. Of course, they will accept it. Hey, you know why she called us. Maybe it's because of the war a few days ago. In the middle of Amazon Lily, all the Kujas were gathered at one place. They were under the castle of Snake Empress waiting for Boa Hancock, the person who summoned them, to come out. She's here. Soon, footsteps came from the top of the castle as everyone went silent. Soon, the face of the most beautiful woman in the world surfaced from the dark, rendering everyone under her admire her beauty. Everyone, Hancock said lightly, still looking down on everyone. I have something to declare. Everyone perked their ears to listen to what she had to say, as Hancock continued. We are the Kuja tribe, the originator of Kuja pirates. Up until now, we have been safe by ourselves. Yet, you are all aware of what happened just 5 days ago. It's clear. We now need protection from a greater power. Everyone looked at each other's faces confused. She was right, yes, but what greater power was she talking about? Soon, As if to answer their questions at once, another figure walked on the rooftop of the castle. Yo, everyone. As the figure, Amon, waved his hands, everyone cheered. Wait. Could it be? Yes, I heard he is an emperor of the sea. Ah, he is such a nice person. Being with him won't be bad. Immediately people started to chatter as a smile bloomed on Hancock's face. Everyone, calm down. It's nice seeing you happy, and you were right, it is him I was talking about. Hancock continued. He is a great power, and he's a man I approve of to de-dominate me. She took a deep breath and declared, so from now on, we, the Kuja tribe, will be a part of Shandora, and the Kuja pirates would be under the Einherjar pirates. Einherjar. In Norse mythology, the Einherjar are those who have died in battle and are brought to Valhalla by Valkyries. Amon named his pirate crew with such a unique name because, to him, everyone in the crew is a lamb waiting to die in battle for the greater good. The difference is just a matter of past and future. The name of Amon's crew wasn't declared to the outside world and is being used for the first time by a third party. However, it's only a matter of days for this to become a hot topic. Instantly, everyone cheered. Yay! We are under an emperor now. Awesome. While the Kujas cheered, Amon looked down at them with gleaming eyes. Oh, how fun this was. Conquering one person and getting 10,000 more as a bonus. Amon suddenly felt a pat on his back causing him to come out of his fantasy. Einherjar? Seriously. It was Riki. She grinned. Not bad. It sounds cool, even though I have no idea what it means. Of course, nobody in this world knew what it meant. Amon just chuckled softly and poked her forehead. It's time for a speed run. We are a proper group of an emperor now. Riki shook her head slowly while Boa Hancock's pet snake crawled closer to her. Meanwhile, the two Boa sisters were at a corner of the rooftop, horrified. That monster. What did he do to Big Sister last night? I only heard her cries and now, she is like a completely different person. Chapters 164, Revelation. In the Shandora, a familiar face wearing a mustache was sitting at a table inside a coffee shop while sipping coffee and reading a newspaper. Meanwhile, the shop's sliding door opened as a long-haired man wearing a white shirt and black pants walked inside. It was Wiper, who had to stop wearing his tribe attire to keep up with the passing time. After stepping inside the coffee shop, he then walked to this table after his eye fell on the coffee-sipping man's figure. Walking closer, he sat down on an empty chair and said, It's rare seeing you here, Dewey. The man with a mustache 1 kilometer, Dewey, shifted his gaze on him. Oh, it's you, Wiper. What a surprise. Oh, shut up. Don't act like you didn't sense me. Wiper replied, causing Dewey to chuckle. Oh, youth, you are as grumpy as ever. Dewey slowly put down his newspaper on the table and looked at Wiper. Ignoring him, Wiper called a waiter to order a cup of coffee. He opened his mouth, 1 cafe latte dash, but he stopped midway as he looked at the face of the waiter. Anything wrong, sir? The blonde waiter just smiled amicably, making Wiper shook his head. It's nothing. 1 cafe latte for me. The waiter nodded with the same smile. Coming, sir. As the waiter walked away, Dewey asked Wiper. Anything wrong with her? Wiper shook his head. No. I mixed her with someone. Dewey nodded. Guess that happens. Anyway, tell me about you. How are your days going? Wiper continued, his face still a little suspicious. My days are boring and monotonous, nothing special. Same for me, it's too peaceful for a warrior like me, though that doesn't mean I will take the initiative to start a fight. Keck. Dewey laughed like an old man. Wiper agreed to what he said. Yes, but I am sure things would change one day, perhaps soon. Amon has some pretty big plans. I can feel it. He continued. Speaking of plans, I heard something interesting is gonna happen soon. Immediately, Dewey looked at Wiper with curiosity as he rested his hands on the table. Ah, you mean that? Jerma 66. Wiper didn't answer and just chuckled softly. Of course, you know it too. It's no secret among the higher-ups. He soon shook his head slowly. Anyway, it's better to not talk about this in the public. As Wiper finished talking, the blonde-haired waiter in her mid-teens walked back to the table with a cup of coffee in her hand. She put the coffee down in front of Wiper and said, I like how you have the sense to not spill important information in public, but don't you think it's too late already? He already said the name, Jerma 66. Do you think our enemies won't get the hint? That's disappointing of you, Commander. She shook her head and walked away. Next time be careful. Don't even spell the letter of confidential info. Dewey stared at the woman's back with a slightly wide mouth. He looked at Wiper with a confused look. Hey, you are not surprised? Wasn't she supposed to be a random girl? Wiper sighed after glaring at the back of the woman. I first thought I mixed her with someone, but it seems I was wrong. It's her attire that fooled me. Wiper continued in a serious voice. She is Coney's code name, Millionaires. She accidentally ate a devil fruit that lets her pop up invisible orbs anywhere in a 1-kilometer radius. Those orbs act like both her ears and eyes. She is one of our main information sources. She is quite new, so it's not a surprise you don't know her. I see. It's natural for an informant to stay hidden in a place like this. Makes sense. But seeing the glare in Wiper's eyes, Dewey questioned. Did something happen between the two of you? Wiper frowned. It's none of your business, so shut up. Wiper picked up his coffee and drank it in less than a second. It's not like the heat hurt him, so it didn't matter. He wiped his lips. I am going now. Time to train. Slamming the table, Wiper stood up from the chair, walking away through the door. As even his silhouette vanished, Dewey shook his head with a smile. While his cousin sleeps with a new woman every day, he is still aloof about love life. Such a youthful spirit. Suddenly, speaking of Amon, isn't today the day he is supposed to return? I recall he is bringing the Pirate Empress too. He laughed to himself and picked up the newspaper again. It bothered him a little that the blonde waiter was watching his every movement, but he was used to it because of Amon's pseudo-omniscience. It's been 2 days since Amon conquered Amazon Lily. Currently, the main ship of Kuja pirates was heading towards the West Blue, towards the Summit of the West. The Summit of the West is a mountain similar to the Reverse Mountain. It has a reverse fountain going to the top where a milky road is connected to the Skypiean. The way to the West Blue was a fast route, since the Kujas can travel by the calm belt. Inside the Kuja ship, Amon was in his room with Hancock beside him in the bed. Hancock was hugging Amon while resting her head in his chest. The atmosphere in the room was warm, making Hancock feel sleepy. Without a care of the person on his chest, Amon was reading a diary. With a serious look on his face, Amon changed the page of the book. While Amon was doing so, Hancock's tired voice flowed in his ears. Hey, what are you reading with that scary look on your face? Hancock asked with her head raised. It's the diary of a dead man, Amon said as he closed the diary with a sigh. It's nothing interesting, though. The guy's just bragging about his son. Amon rubbed his temple with a frown. I am getting a headache reading the shits written on it. Hancock shot up. Headache? Here, I will bring ice. Amon shook his head and laid down on the bed properly. Your kiss is enough to heal me, my love. Love. Kia. As Amon said this with a cheeky smile, Hancock gained a blush but still leaned down and kissed him. Amon contemplated while kissing. I am more than half the pages done. But it's still just about his son, wife, and the Whitebeard pirates. He hasn't even joined Roger on the part 1 I'm in. Still, it was better than nothing. Luckily, I am getting pretty good knowledge on Whitebeard's crew. Amon was sure the main revelation would start after Odin reaches Laughdale, but he didn't want to skip to that page suddenly. It's better to enjoy something, at least when one is getting benefits from that too. Soon, a knock fell on the door. Bro, we are at the entrance of the Summit of the West. It was Ricky's voice that caused Amon to frown as he yelled, Did I want to know? And stop eavesdropping. I can sense your presence. There was no reply from the other side, only the fast footsteps of a person running. Hancock looked at Amon with a weird look. Your sister is weird, though she didn't give it much thought and hugged him to sleep. Amon also went to sleep since he was feeling a headache from Odin's constant bragging. After a few more hours, the ship had reached Skypiean. It had already passed Heaven's Gate, heading towards the City of Gold, Shandora. From a tower even above the giant jack, a little girl looking no more than 10 was staring at the direction of the ship with bare eyes, sitting in a chair leisurely. Big brother is here. The little girl, Isa, thought. This time he brought a new voice. She has been manipulated too. Isa wasn't as smart as Karna, but she had great insight. For years ago, Isa told Ricky something. Don't trust him. He is not he is not like what he shows. Of course, she couldn't exactly tell what he was on the inside, but she knew he wasn't the same guy from the outside. And most interestingly, Amon knew it all. About the fact that she can somewhat bypass his barrier, and also the fact that she told Ricky some bullshits. Yet, it's also true she is just a shackled bird. She won't get too smart because of her family. She thinks, if she disobeys Amon, he might hurt Isa, Bob, or Karna. She didn't want her family to suffer. Of course, she didn't know Amon won't hurt Isa, but it didn't matter much. In the end, she was a child who could be manipulated even if she feared him. Isa pulled out a dial from her pocket and dialed a number. After ringing for a while, a gruff voice came across the other side. "What do you want, Isa?" "Big brother Amon is here, Wiper," Isa replied in a calm tone. Chapter 165, Taking a Cautious Step. A few days have passed since Amon reached Skypea. Currently, Boa Hancock was getting familiar with the place before deciding where she should stay from now on. Meanwhile, in the East Blue, in the Kokoyashi village, the blue-haired girl named Nojiko was in her garden, reading a newspaper. Her eyes were firm on the front page as she was leisurely laying on her belly on a lounger. As her eyes squinted over the headline, she slowly shook her head. This fifth emperor guy has been news every single day now. This time, he announced his pirate crew's name along with the news of merging with Kuja tribe. She shrugged her shoulders soon. None of my business, I guess. The big people would always stay away from here. I should worry about this small figure in the village instead. She was talking about Arlong, of course. The behemoth who appeared in this village years ago and ruling over the villagers ruthlessly. Though it's not like I can do anything about him. Only Nami can. Speaking of her, she's been working harder lately. Nojiko thought while turning on her back. Lately, her sister Nami has been going out in the sea more frequently. She said the people who hate the government is choosing the path of piracy because of Amon's influence. These newbies have no experience, Nojiko. Not taking this chance would be too silly for me. This is what Nami replied when Nojiko asked her to take things easy. She had the goal to collect 100 million bellies, and this chance seemed tempting to her. Nojiko stared at the air for a while as her mind wandered. That poor girl. She soon shook her head and stood up, slowly walking away towards her house. Meanwhile, something else was happening on an island of the South Blue. An old woman wearing a ragged marine suit was walking with 4 young females also wearing similar attires. People were giving them weird looks but still avoided them, assuming they must be returning from a harsh battle. As the small group of 5 walked forward, ignoring every civilian, they finally reached the marine base on that island, stopping by the gate. The old woman opened her mouth in front of the 2 marine soldiers guarding the gate. "Tell the captain in charge, Vice Admiral Tsuru is here." Indeed, it was Tsuru who finally reached this island after barely escaping from the deadly sea kings of the Calm Belt. It took a few seconds for the marine soldiers to intercept her words. But when they did, instantly, the 2 soldiers shot their hands at their forehead and made a salute, stomping on the ground. "Why yes, ma'am." After that, a nervous marine captain with a fat belly ran out of the base and greeted Tsuru. Tsuru, not caring about him, first decided to use the marine Dindinmushi to contact Sengoku. At the same time, Sengoku was in his office as he received Tsuru's call. They talked for a while as Tsuru explained what happened that day. And like that, I suddenly found myself in the sea along with 4 more girls. Luckily, they weren't devil fruit eaters, so I didn't drown with their help. I heard the recent news. It seems the culprit who did this was indeed the Sky Emperor, as I have doubted before. Tsuru's old voice flowed through the snail in front of Sengoku. He had a frown on his face hearing her. "I see. Many others from your fleet contacted me earlier, so I had the hunch that Lucifer didn't hurt anyone, including you," Sengoku said. "But to think he would somehow manage to make the Pirate Empress join forces with him. That's strange. I can only assume he used some dirty trick." Hearing him say those words, Tsuru retorted from the other side. "I don't think so. From what I learned of Boa Hancock, she is just a pitiful girl who seeks attention. I can only assume the Sky Emperor gave the attention she desired." Hearing Tsuru, Sengoku nodded slowly. "Is that so? Perhaps you are right. Anyway, it's nice that you are all okay. From the previous ruthlessness of that kid with the nobles, I didn't think he would let anyone go harmless. So I can only assume he just has a grudge against the world nobles." He continued. "That's all for now. I hope you would return soon. I want a detailed review of what you know." "Understood. Kacha." Like that, the call ended as Sengoku sighed. These days, most of his time passed by sighing. First Kaido's fight with that unknown man, then the Revolutionary Army, now the 5th Emperor. He mumbled quietly. Not so long ago, Emporio Ivankov, a commander of the Revolutionary Army, was captured. The Marines were expecting a move from the Revolutionary Army because of that. From the data, the Revolutionary Army cared deeply about their comrades, so the chance of someone coming to save Ivankov was pretty high. He leaned on the chair to relax his mind. And the Kuja pirates. Things are going busy. But this did prove something. This meant Amon really had something to do with Hancock, the reason why he set those demands years ago. With this, he must have acquired what he wanted. It's pretty clear he is making his army stronger. From our information network, after devouring the Kuja pirates, he now has around 40,000 people who can fight. In reality, Amon had a bit more than 40,000 fighters. The first and strongest batch, the 5,000 from the Skypiean and Shandora, then the 10,000 from the Kuja tribe, finally the 30,000 from the organization. Easily, this surpassed any other emperors. Yet, he is the least dangerous amongst them all. He has the number, but the numbers are weak. There were only a few significant individuals worth mentioning in his crew, and none of them passed the 1 billion mark. As a whole, Amon's crew was the weakest. While Sengoku was thinking this, his eyes fell on the newspaper on the table. He has read them a while ago, and that has been a shock to him. A new dragon. It's supposedly that girl named Riki. I guess this will boost her bounty to 1 billion now. His headache that has been active for the past few days ached a little more aggressively thinking this. We had 2 dragons already. Now we need to worry about another? Sigh. There is a chance that the lightning dragon and this dragon is the same person, but it is highly unlikely from the previous proofs. Sengoku contemplated. More irritatingly, it seems all the news about merging with Kuja and owning a dragon fruit was all revealed to the newspaper agency by Amon himself. He is deliberately trying to expand his reputation, isn't he? In the end, Sengoku sighed for an uncountable amount of time. Things are so haughty these days. Alas, Sengoku would soon receive another big blow from the news of Ace joining the Whitebeard pirates. Amon POV. ZHHH. I was standing under the shower while my body was being washed. I kept staring at the wall all the while, as after a few minutes I was done showering. I grabbed the towel, dried my body, and walked out of the bathroom. Entering the bedroom. As I walked in, I looked at the bed where a naked blonde woman was lying. It was Makita, Miss Valentine from my organization. She was seemingly awake, staring at the ceiling. But she was also drooling from her mouth as if she was unconscious. Her pupils were also unfocused. So normally people won't be able to tell what happened to her. I ignored her and walked towards the fridge, opened it, grabbed a bottle of water, and started drinking it. The cold water went to my body as I felt at peace. Wiping my lips, I glanced at the seemingly half-dead Makita. Just a while ago, I fucked that bitch, and after I was done, I brainwashed her. She learned how to fly too fast. She started demanding things. Even though I was busy, she demanded a meeting. Look where that brought you, dead bitch. Apparently, she was too hungry for me. I don't even recall sleeping with her before. She is that insignificant to me. But it really does seem women are weak at heart. No, actually this is something concerning. It really was. She's not really someone I spent much time with, so this type of reaction was kind of weird? I don't know. So this made me think, if a person I hardly spent my time with is so thirsty, what about some other woman? Like Robin, that idiot, for example. She also refuses to teach me the Poneglyph language, saying that's the only way she can be useful to me, and whatnot. That was something I didn't like about her at all. So I can't kill her, and brainwashing her is out of the question since I might accidentally hurt the part that holds her knowledge on Poneglyph. Still, Makita's sacrifice wasn't in vain. I learned something new. No, more precisely, one of my previous doubts was cleared. It's my fault that I made a few people too dependent on me. To prevent them from acting like Makita, I need to keep a check on them. Currently, Robin is someone closest to snapping. I recall I haven't given her much time after returning from the moon. Ugh, my head hurts. I looked at the bed and ordered the now mindless Makita. Oi, go back to your room. Don't forget to keep acting like Makita, by the way. Yes. Sir. Makita said as her eyes slowly regained sharpness. Also, it seems I am losing the bit of humanity I had in me. I don't feel anything after killing her like this, unlike the other times. General POV. It was God's shrine, and Amon was walking through a long hallway while his mind was in another world. He realized something from this encounter. People around me will gradually reach this state. Not only Robin, even Riki. Because of his far-fetched dream to conquer the vast universe, he surely needs something like a giant's lifespan, or better, immortality. But more than that, he needed immortality for his companions too. But from today's encounter, I am forced to believe that would come biting me in the ass. People will gradually realize what type of person I am. They will come to disgust and hate me. Eventually, betray me. Of course, there was the solution, brainwashing. But like this, in the end, I will have nothing but soulless puppets around me. That's not fun at all. Of course, that didn't mean he would suddenly come to love everyone around him, and they would become so nice that they wouldn't betray him. That's just a child's fantasy. A person can't change so drastically, so suddenly, at least not a person like Amon who still, somewhere deep inside his heart, wants to take revenge. Amon chuckled softly as he came to a stop in front of a door. I need to balance everything with my act. It's pretty fun acting, unlike before. Thinking this, he knocked on the door. Robin, are you inside? This was Robin's room in the shrine. As he said this, some quick footsteps came from the other side as the door cracked open and Robin appeared. There were dark circles around her eyes as she looked at Amon with a shocked face. Lucy? She asked since she was a little confused as to why he was here so suddenly. He didn't come to her without a serious reason these days. Is there anything? If it's about Shiki, I was working on his file just now. Before she could finish what she was saying, Amon placed his hand on top of her head. It's fine, rest assured. He just patted her head. Take it easy. I was feeling lonely, so I came to see you. Lonely? He shrugged. What? I can't be lonely? I was having a hard time sleeping. I was thinking of sleeping with you tonight, but I assumed you were already asleep. But it seems you were working hard for me. Thanks, sis. So, what do you think? Want to sleep together? As Amon said this, Robin's eyes grew as she stared at him with her blue eyes. She intercepted his words wrong. Ah, yes, we didn't do it even once after he returned from the moon. She smiled. I understand. I will take a shower. Wait. Amon again interrupted her as he hugged her tightly. Come down. Stop thinking about lewd things. I just want to sleep with you. A normal sleep. Don't forget, our relationship isn't that of lovers. It is that of siblings. Hearing him, Robin blinked. She took a few seconds to intercept his words as an unnoticed giggle left her lips. She hugged him back and patted his back. You brat, you haven't grown at all, have you? Tell me, did you have a nightmare? Chapter 166, Secrets of Odin's Diary. What the fuck? This was my reaction as I finished reading Odin's diary. After I and Robin slept together, I woke up early in the morning and started reading the diary again. It's night now. I have finished reading it all. Now, it did answer some of my questions, but many new ones were born in my head. First of all, as expected, Odin didn't leave any words on what the One Piece is. Though this didn't really take me by surprise, since I already knew it from the anime. As shown there, Odin only wrote something along this line. Looking down on the treasure called One Piece, our captain just laughed. We also laughed along with him. Now, I'm not really in a hurry to reach One Piece. In fact, after reading all this, I think it's better to delay going to Laugh Tale as much as possible. Of course, I am trusting my instinct and gut here. I am not always right, but I think I might be this time. Although it wasn't explained what the One Piece is, something else was. I think it is enough to make up for all my effort. The main reason Odin joined Roger is to read out Poneglyphs for him. Surprisingly, he wrote the contents of each Poneglyph he read in the diary. That's also the case with the Golden Poneglyph located in Laughdale. Supposedly, this Golden Poneglyph contains a piece of future in the form of a riddle. Now the riddle is boring, so I won't say it. But here is what it conveys, or so I think from my canon knowledge. 1. The Second Great War would start after someone finds the One Piece again. Apparently, nothing happened in Roger's time since he was too early. But what makes this era that special is Shirahosi's birth. I assume all three ancient weapons need to be present in the timeline for someone to access the One Piece. Maybe it's a type of lock placed by Joy Boy since he is the one who put the One Piece in its place. It's just a theory, though. 2. The reason the war would start is that a certain someone would start hunting everyone with D in their name after the announcement of the second Pirate King travels throughout the world. I believe it's Emu. Though people can question, why isn't Emu starting his hunt right now? Nothing is stopping him. He is invincible. This time, it might not be because it's not the time yet. But even if it is, I believe there is another reason. That leads me to my third assumption. 3. This is just pure prediction, but I will say it. I believe Emu is sealed in Mary Aegis, the middle point of the world. Most likely by someone's devil fruit power from 800 years ago. I am not sure about this. But it must be true, considering why a strong presence like him hides in the shadow, or why he hasn't started hunting the D's yet. After all, just think, why would he lock himself in his room when he owns the world? 4. In this war, the new Joy Boy would most likely die. Though he might survive with the help of the Samurai Prince, the reason why Toki was sent to the future, in the first place. This was one of the more clear riddles. So that's something interesting. Maybe I should think about Momo a little more. Just how valuable is he? Anyway, that's all I found. But one thing to keep in mind, The information is written in that Pongipal is most likely from the previous Poseidon's divination, meaning it can be changed just like I did with Shirley's prediction. Moreover that, all these points are predicted by my paranoid ass, so I might be very wrong. Still, I do feel safe knowing Emu is locked, even if he might actually not be. Though this means I have to hold on to my curiosity to go and find out the One Piece as soon as possible, since that might remove the seal placed on Emu. Yes, I did say he would hunt the Ds only, but we never know. Maybe I am a D2, Keck. Anyway, that's the gist of it. Also, other than the golden poneglyph, many more revelations were made in the diary by Toki that she must have learned from the previous Poseidon. One of the predictions being, Momonosuke will eat the same devil fruit as his archenemy, which I do recall happening in the anime. So I do believe it's true about his value in the war as well. Not only this, there were many significant mentions of Momonosuke. He has some pretty good talks about him. I do believe he is a person who will rise high, well unless me, the variable of this world, decides to cut his life short. Finally, I felt a little at peace. So some changes in plan. Unlike thriving after One Piece, I should focus on getting stronger faster. I don't see any way to catch up to Emu in a short time otherwise. I would also like to form a friendly relationship with the other emperors after this. Maybe ask Kaido or Whitebeard about Emu. They must know something. Anything really. Anyway, the quickest way to get strong is my 3 devil fruit goal. My second fruit should be that, Op no Mi. According to my research, it's the only fruit after Yami Yami with the power to grant 3 fruits. I don't want Yami Yami because of its drawback where it also absorbs damage. Besides, Op is a comparatively better fruit, though I can't eat both of them since supposedly, someone can only eat the fruit of each type. Anyway, fuck this shit. I need to rearrange my plans a bit. Being 800 years old, Emu is strong. I am not sure of his fruit though, not even sure if he even has one. General POV. A few days have passed. Amon has again planned everything carefully. Of his new plan, his first target is Germa 66 and the gene formula made by them. Amon plans to improve his angel formula to use it on his winged subordinates. His army is pretty weak, but with this help, they can climb the ladder quickly and easily. Today, Amon was sitting in front of the chair of the supercomputer, Seraph. So, did you do what I asked you off? Amon asked in a calm voice. I am 95% done. It will take 2 more days. Amon raised his eyebrow hearing her. Huh? You are pretty slow for a supercomputer. You won't understand how hard it is to create a new martial art at the level of Fishman Karate. It's a masterpiece, hardly modifiable. Especially when you want to control wind with it. Whatever, I just want a perfect, flawless product. Take your time. Amon indeed wanted a perfect product. A few more days didn't matter. Though the important part is teaching my subordinates this. Not all of them are talented. They won't gain something too significant in 2 years of time. Also, I'm gonna bring you a lot of data on lineage factor. I need you to work on them too. Amon was sure Judge had more knowledge on this factor than Seraph. And he surely has those knowledge saved in a computer. After all, his kingdom is all about technology. It's not a hard matter. Maybe I can even improve it. Amon yawned, stretched his limbs, and got up. I will be going then. See you later. Don't forget to work hard. ZZZ. Amon passed through a gap in Hall's defense and teleported away. I should up my defense too. Seraph thought with seriousness. Slowly, she has come to see Amon as a worthy master. She was deeply considering if she should truly accept him or not. Chapter 167. Today was a sunny day. Things were peaceful in the city of gold. The Shandians and Burkas, the only people who reside on this island, were living their everyday life peacefully. The few Skypieans working here also didn't have any problems. Life was peaceful and happy for them. All in all, without even wanting to, Amon has created a pretty decent place for people. Besides the golden architecture, there were normal houses, cafes, hotels, apartments, shops, and many more built all around here. The residents of Shandora was obviously many times slimmer than Angel Island and even many other Sky Islands. Still, this was treated as the capital of all Sky Islands. But not everything was peaceful here. While the ignorant mass was living a happy life, the people in the higher ranks were having disputes. Just like this one incident happening in the God's Shrine, Nico Robin and Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock was sitting on a stool with her legs crossed. She was coldly staring in front of her, where Nico Robin was sitting on the bed. Hancock's cold expression soon turned into disgust. Nico Robin, You are pathetic. Question mark. Robin was thrown off hearing her. She just called here, out of context, and she was suddenly insulting her? What's wrong with this woman? Robin, with a frown on her face, retorted, I am sorry, but why am I here? Of course, you are here to listen to me and do as I say. Hancock raised her head. The arrogance was clear in her tone and expression. I heard about you, so-called sister-in-law. Yes, you should stay silent. That's the only thing you are supposed to do. Hancock looked at her mockingly. First, you came closer to my hubby with the excuse of being his sister's. You manipulated the poor boy for a year. Then when he was at his weakest, you jumped at his bed and seduced him. Do you still not feel ashamed to stay around him after all that happened? Hancock finished talking with an angry glare. Robin was already frowning deeply. Who told you that? You are not supposed to know this considering the short amount of time you spent here. Hancock's eyes twitched. Huh? Is that what you were concerned about? So it's true that you are thick-skinned. She got this information from asking around a few people. Amon didn't return to her room last night. This concerned Hancock. Did she do something unpleasant? Why is he ignoring her otherwise? Concerned, after asking around, Hancock got what she wanted. There was nobody who can refuse her questions after all. Of course, she misinterpreted the information she got. To her, Amon surely can't be the one going after Robin since he calls her his sister, or he would have gone after Ricky as well. So all the blame went to Robin herself. Robin chuckled softly. You should be polite to your elders. I am older than you. I recall. Did nobody teach you that? With Hancock growing, Robin then sighed shortly after. Anyway, I am not sure who told you these things, but you should know, I don't care about the past anymore. What I care about is only my future with Lucy. Robin didn't care much about Hancock. Yes, it did put her off when she saw Amon acting all lovey-dovey around her, but it's not like she didn't know. Amon only brought Hancock here to use her, unlike herself. Hancock snapped, hearing her. So you are not denying anything, huh? You really did manipulate my poor love. No, that's not the problem anymore. Now that I am here, I will fix it. She got up and walked closer to Hancock, looking down at her face with her hands on her waist. Get out of here this instant. She glared at her. A manipulative bitch like you don't deserve to be here. Stay away from my love's life. This is where Robin snapped too. How dare a mere tool order me to leave Lucy? Immediately, Robin crossed her hands. She won't fatally hurt Hancock, but she needs to teach her a lesson. Hancock realized what she was about to do. This must be she trying to attack me. So she's trying to harm me. Immediately, Hancock curled her fist and prepared for a strike. Robin didn't give it a thought and chanted, Flurry. Stop. But before any of the two could engage in a battle, Amon's voice interrupted them. Both Hancock's and Robin's eyes grew as they slowly looked at his way. Amon was wearing a terrible scowl. Reaching a conclusion, Robin gulped. No. If he assumes I was trying to seriously harm her, he would be surely mad. Even if she is a tool, she is important. Hancock gulped the same way as she drew back her fist that was almost touching Robin's face. Robin did manipulate him, but it's true that he sees her as his sister, right? It would surely anger him to see her trying to strike her. Amon walked closer and glared at them both with taunting eyes. I don't like these kinds of drama. He first looked at Hancock. You are in Robin's room, so I can only blame you for everything. Shut up. He stared deep into her eyes, making her throat dry up. Get out of here. I won't say it another time. Hancock's eyes grew as her eyes became wet. Her lips quivered as she nodded. I understand. I will go away. She turned around and walked away with fast steps. The path she walked in got covered in tears. Seeing her go away, Robin sighed. She looked at Amon with a smile. Of course, he loves me the most dash. And you, don't smile like I am over. Robin flinched as she heard Amon. You did say she should respect you because you were older, right? It's only natural for you to look after her. This caused Robin to frown. She would have immediately retorted if not for the fact Amon slept with her last night. Calm down, he cares about me more than that woman. Or he would have been harsher. She sighed. You never said you wanted me to look after her, so I didn't. Still, I thought you would be more responsible, dash. Robin frowned again. Responsible? Why should I always be on the submissive side? Why me? She came to my room. Why did she? Was it me who called her? No. She came here by herself, deliberately. Of course, Amon knew it was Hancock's fault. But he also knew it was because she is just that much possessive of him. He can be harsh with her, and that would actually be fine considering her submissive personality, but that would mean this bad blood between Robin and Hancock would not subside. It's never good if his so-called harem members fight every time they are around each other. Besides that, Amon didn't like Robin's retorting personality. As she finished yelling, Amon didn't say anything. He rubbed his temple. Then slowly walking closer towards the bed, he fell on his back. Amon covered his face with his hands, staying silent. What? Robin asked, super confused. Hey, what happened? It's nothing. Amon sighed. Robin was immediately caught up in confusion as she jumped in the bed and sat beside him. Hey, what's wrong? Tell me. After staying silent for a while, Amon sighed and removed his hands from his face. His eyes were wet with a little redness present in them. You have been talking to me with a frown on your face a lot lately. He gulped lightly. Are you somewhat dissatisfied with me? It was when Robin lost her all sense. Huh. What was this situation? She never saw him act like this before. No, she did. It was when he was young, when she still doubted him. In fact, she didn't even realize she has been talking with a frown on her face. Robin touched Amon's face with her shaky hands. I didn't realize it. I am sorry. Amon just shook his head. It's fine. If you're doing that without realizing it, that means I really have been keeping you dissatisfied somehow. I don't want you to fake anything. He then mumbled, but it still hurts knowing you subconsciously hate me. Robin yelled immediately. I don't hate you. I swear. I don't. Robin started to breathe heavily. I was just busy with work, and so I had that frown. It's not because of you. No, that was not the case. She was quite dissatisfied with Amon, though only subconsciously. She has been working day and night for him, yet he orders him to stay humble around the new fuckmate he brought? Her dissatisfaction was justified, but that didn't mean Amon would bear with it. So he used the pity card, which worked fantastically. Robin couldn't say anything more. She was lost for her words. Her body was trembling tremendously. Why am I such an ungrateful bitch? It's like last time. She just fell on his chest with a large gasp. It's my fault. I am sorry. After a short silence, Amon placed his hands on her back and patted her. It's all right. If you really mean it, just make sure to not talk to me like that after this. It aches my heart, Amon said, while pushing Robin's head on his chest and grinning lightly. After all, you're my sister. I will always forgive you. Robin's trembling calmed down. Thank you. Amon kept patting her head. Besides that, let me tell you a story. It's about 3 poor girls who were captured by the world nobles, how they lived their lives as slaves. Hancock was in Amon's bedroom, the room she'd been staying in for the past few days. She was sitting in the bed, hugging her legs, and looking down with hollow eyes. He yelled at me. She was barely keeping her sense. No, it's my fault I went after someone he cares. I am, just an outsider. It's my fault I insulted someone close to him. Hancock smiled as she hugged her legs tighter. I am just an outsider. Yes, that's right. I should always respect that woman, or he will yell at me more. Maybe he might leave me if I cross a line. As her moist eyes got moister, she slowly closed her eyes as sleep took over her. Knock. A knock fell on the door of the room, rendering Hancock to wake up. She rubbed her eyes and realized her cheeks were wet. She shook her head and wiped her cheeks with her dress and stood up. Coming. She assumed it wasn't Amon. He usually teleports inside. Walking closer, she opened the door as Amon's face came from the other side. Hubby Dash, Hancock stopped midway. Was she even qualified to call him that? She recalled. Amon even had a wife. But from what she gathered, she assumed it was a political marriage. But who was to say I am wrong about this as well? Maybe he loves that woman too. Hancock avoided eye contact as her gaze fell on the person behind him. It was Robin. She is here too. Hancock again looked down, not daring to look at Robin's face. To her, Robin was a superior existence now, a person she can't hope to disrespect. Hello? Hancock said as she squinted her eyes around. Amon sighed and got away from Hancock and Robin's way. He said to Robin, finish what you two started. Hearing him, Robin walked ahead and bowed deeply. I am sorry. I didn't realize you were just caring about Lucy. I didn't understand you only did what you did because you cared about his safety. But Dash, she raised her head and said, I can guarantee I am not a vixen. I don't want to harm him either. Hancock stayed silent as she realized Amon took the time to tame Robin. So, Robin walked closer to Hancock and hugged her. Let's get along together, all right, sister-in-law. Hancock's eyes grew wide as she looked at Amon, instinctually asking what she should do. Amon mumbled, don't look here. I was also harsh to you, sorry. Amon winked at her as her tears again started falling. Thank you. She hugged Robin tightly while her tears fell on her shoulder. Thank you very much for forgiving me. As the two of them exchanged sorries, the night fell upon them. Amon kept smiling from the sidelines. It was easy to make them get along. Both have a past with WG antagonizing them, so I just had to let them sympathize with each other. In the end, having a harem wasn't hard. You just need to play your cards right. Amon also had another idea. Sleeping with both of them in the same bed will strengthen their bond. No, I am just horny, whatever. Amon didn't care. He was the king of his own choices. It's just that these types of disputes won't be fixed so easily the next time. Chapter 168, Unexpected Arrival. Amon POV. I slowly opened my eyes with sunlight instantly gashing inside, making me realize it was already morning. I yawned while rubbing my eyes. Then I slowly looked on both my sides. Two women were lying naked beside me, their hands wrapped around me while they were sleeping with a smile on their faces. Boa Hancock and Nico Robin. They're a good bunch. By good, I mean they're good fuckmates. I sometimes reckon how fun it is being in this world, in so many ways. Anyway, although me banging both of them together and even manipulating them won't solve this problem completely, I do believe they will be tamed for a few months, maybe even years. No, years may be too long. Though now the problem is Vivi. I wonder how she would feel when she finds out I am fucking the most beautiful woman in her absence. Ah, so fun. Anyway, enough fucking. I should rather plan my next move. For initials, I plan to send some specifically picked up individuals to go to North Blue and invade Germa 66. They would be free to cause as much destruction they like, but they have to defeat the whole Germa army in exchange. I won't interfere. I have other jobs to do. In the meantime, I would go to the Drum Kingdom and declare it as my territory. Taking over that kingdom would help me get in touch with Kureha and Chopper. I am good with medicines, better than Chopper, that I can guarantee. But I am nowhere near that old woman's level. And since I want op fruit, I do need good enough skills in medicine and surgery. Then, it's decided. I will leave today. General POV. After going through the lift build on Giant Jack, one can reach God's shrine. It was breakfast time, and people inside the shrine were gathered around the dining table. Other than Amon, Ricky, Robin, and Hancock and Karna, the ones who live here, other guests were also gathered inside the fabulous dining hall. Wiper, Isa, Karna, and even Otama were sitting at the large dining table. Isa was distributing food while everyone else was sitting. This type of large dine isn't an everyday thing. Today was just special. It would have been nice if Bob was here too. It would be a proper family reunion, Isa said while putting rice on Amon's plate. But he said he's busy. Such a bummer. Amon was still sleepy because last night, he accepted his meal with a yawn. Maybe next time. Yeah, that. We did eat with him last time, so it makes up for it. But it would have been nice now that Hancock is here. She should meet her uncle-in-law. Isa replied as she offered some food to the person sitting on Amon's left. It was a yawning Hancock, who also released a smile at Isa. As Isa walked to Amon's right, where Robin was sitting, she sighed while putting rice on her plate too. Also, I won't say much about last night since the kids are here, but be careful when there is more than one girl at the same time. If you show love to one while keeping the other at bay, she might feel hurt. I will, sensei. Amon chuckled softly while Otama, who was sitting in Amon's lap, looked at his face with curiosity. Amon, bother. What is she talking about? As she said with a very curious face, Hancock almost choked on her food. Cough. She quickly drank water as she looked at Otama. You girl, you will know when you grow up and get married. Now stop asking questions. Hancock said with a slightly red face. She talked with Otama before. At first, she mistook her as Amon's child, but luckily she was wrong. She didn't like her at first, seeing her so close to Amon, but she recently came to like her. Even her pride didn't stop her from liking this little energy ball. After that, Isa finished distributing the food as she also went back to her place and everyone started eating. Midway eating, Amon opened his mouth while looking at Wiper. That's right, Wiper. I won't be present in the next Germa 66 expedition, he said as Wiper looked at him leisurely. You will be in charge, burn everything. Though before he could even finish his words, Isa's annoyed voice flowed to his ears. That's enough, Amon. I warned you previously, no business talk at the dining table. Amon sighed and shook his head slowly. All right. Your country, your rules. Yes, now eat. Isa ordered with a scowl, though it was apparent she was just acting. You have all your life's time waiting there for you to work. No need to ruin the precious time of dining. Yeah, right? Amon munched on some sea king's meat as he kept eating with Hancock feeding him her food every now and then. Just like that, the morning passed. After that, Amon sat in a cafe with Wiper to talk about the next exhibition. So that's the gist of it. Amon finished saying, Raki won't be going, nor will I. It will just be you and the God's army. It will be very hard, harder than you can imagine, because they are strong. So do be careful, cousin. Wiper frowned as he grinned. Be careful? Just because you are not going? Do you think I, Wiper, am weak? Fine, I will show you this time. I will destroy them all. Amon chuckled softly as he played with his cup of coffee. I want to see that, but it would still be pretty hard. The Germa is a large army. You can't possibly beat them all with a small number of 5,000 soldiers. You are strong, yes, but the higher-ups would keep you busy. In the meanwhile, the others would just be ganged upon by the whole Germa. Wiper rolled his eyes. So you're saying it's impossible for me? Meaning, are you testing me? Amon shrugged. More like I am giving you an opportunity. You will understand after coming back from this. Well, that's considering you make it back alive. Wiper went silent hearing him. An opportunity. It was confusing, but he got the gist of it. He must be talking about the opportunity to awaken my fruit. I can feel it's just around the edges. Wiper thought with a shivering spine. Even that cheap girl Raki surpassed me. I need to awaken myself to get back my position. Wiper grinned largely. Amon, he called. Prepare. I am going to challenge you once more after I come back. Amon smiled. I am always prepared, warrior. Wiper didn't say anything more and stood up, walking away from the cafe. As Wiper left, another pair of footsteps caught Amon's attention as he looked at his side while smiling. It was Coney's, who was wearing a calm expression. Amon, she called. Unlike others, she calls Amon by his name because of her early friendship with him. Amon looked at her with a wink. What's up, beautiful? I saw a few unregistered people entering the sky just now. They seem to be concealing themselves nicely. There are a total of 5 of them. Coney's reported, ignoring his flirtatious attitude. She didn't like it a bit. In fact, it irritated her deeply. I know, I already sensed them too. Don't worry, I will take care of them. Amon leaned on his back with a relaxed tone. They are just the cipher pole. The cipher pole was here, a good opportunity. It seems Amon needs to delay his trip to the Drum Kingdom by a day. Chapter 169, Sudden Uncertainty. On the outskirts of Angel Island, a small boat was quietly coming towards the shore. This was the edge of the city, so there were not many people around. The 5 people on the boat were covering their bodies with cloaks, looking very shady. Finally, they got closer to the land, but unexpectedly, 2 guards who were on patrol noticed them. Hey, you guys. The deep voice of one of the guards started the small group as they looked at the guards with a frown. Both of the guards were 7 feet tall, had blonde hair, with a heavy body. They were standing proudly with their eyes suspiciously looking at the boat. Why are you entering through the back gate? Show your identification, one of the guards stepped forward and asked. He was sure they were up to something, but he needed enough proof. One of the 5 mumbled to them, We have already shown our identifications in the Heaven's Gate. The guard frowned hearing him. Then show them again. It doesn't hurt, does it? Hearing him, the 5 slowly exchanged glances. Still, like obedient dogs, they slowly slid their hands under their robes, taking out cards. This is the card given out in the summit of the West, the only legal road to Skypea. The pirates and criminals obviously can't get them. Well, at least the ones who don't pay for it. The guard accepted their cards and nodded. For shipwrights and a bartender. I see nothing suspicious. And although entering the city from the back gate is not a crime, your attire makes you look auspicious. The guard looked at the faces of the people as he asked, Are you guys here to look for jobs? The man with a long square nose shook his head. We shipwrights are simply here to accept a commission. But this guy is looking for a job, he said, pointing at the burly man, dressed like a bartender under the ropes. We met him on our way and decided to give him a ride. That's all. The guard nodded. Everything's good then. You can go inside. Next time make sure to wear something better, got it? The suspects nodded as the guards then turned around and left the spot. Among the travelers, a man with a pigeon on his shoulder stared at the guards' backs. Suspiciously, the pigeon started talking in a high-pitched voice. The security is pretty tight, but it's nowhere on Whole Cake Island's level. It's pretty measly for an emperor, I would say. As the pigeon stopped talking, a snicker startled them. The laugh stopped as a soothing voice crept in their ears. This place is more secure than even impel down, idiots. Because I am here. Before the 5 individuals clad in black could turn their heads around, they felt their brain going fuzzy and their nerves going numb, as if they had been shocked by electricity. Shortly they lost consciousness. Zzz. The last thing they heard was the sound of passing electricity. Amon POV. What happened after that wasn't really anything interesting. I took all 5 of them to the Grand Azaro, to the Luck Girl, and put 10 people's luck on each of them. But something messed up happened next. I am sorry, sir. Baccarat bowed deeply and apologized to me, but there wasn't a shred of empathy in her tone. Yes, she is one of the successful brainwashed, but she still can't process all types of emotions. Hearing her, I just stared at her coldly, almost wanting to snap her neck. In the end, I shook my head slowly with a sigh. Then I looked at the floor where 4 people were sitting. Rob Lucci, Kaku, and 2 randoms I don't know the names of. They were successfully brainwashed, so they were sitting quietly. The problem was the body lying down beside them, a dead body to be precise. Blueno, a member of CP9. Sigh, the dude died halfway through the procedure. That's sad, but not really. There are a million excuses. I looked at Rob Lucci with an indifferent look on my face. Oi, did this guy have any devil fruit? I didn't know if he had one. I am forgetting many small details from canon these days. It took a few seconds for Lucci to process my words, a backlash of brainwashing that needs a few days to remedy. He had the paramecia, door fruit. Immediately, I was overcome with joy. I grinned and looked at Baccarat. Look after them. I will be back in 26 seconds. Zzz. I entered lightning speed and teleported kilometers away, going to the upper yard that was thousands of kilometers from here. I invaded the forest, went in a specific direction, picked up a broccoli, and hopped back here in the ships. All this took 26 exact seconds as I was again standing in front of Baccarat. While Baccarat stood there silently, I quietly put the fruit close to the dead man's body. This is a blessing in disguise. I was hoping to get a storage type of fruit for a while now, and I am finally getting it. Yes, this is arguably the best storage type of fruit. When created a door in the air, the door leads to a pocket dimension. A pocket that is just our normal Earth but vacant of any life, meaning unlimited space. There is no other fruit better than this as a storage type, other than that it has pretty good other uses too. The problem is even though I myself need this fruit, I can't eat it because of Opopnomi, yet I can't let any other person eat it since it would ruin the point. Then should I pet a cat and make it eat this? That seems possible. A cat can always be with me. Or I can try that theory of mine. Well, it doesn't hurt. Enough being secretive. The theory is simple. Inanimate objects can't eat devil fruits because they lack a life, a soul. But since soans contain a life within the fruit, even inanimate objects can eat them. Simple, right? Seems believable too. Now, what if an inanimate object, who manifested a will, life eats paramecia devil fruit? If it does eat it, isn't that the same as a person eating it? Yes, that's right. What if Katetsui, a cursed blade with fighting will, eats this fruit? Nah, it won't work. I tried before. Well, this just means that life within the sword isn't strong enough. Now, there are 2 ways to make it strong. 1. Insert a soul in the sword using Big Mom's DF. Immediately, Big No. I won't want another person's soul to be injected in the sword, since it can harm me anytime. And about my own. I would never let Big Mom touch my soul. 2. Insert a shadow in the sword using Yona's fruit. This seems possible, and I don't mind using a part of my own shadow even. Normally a shadow can't be inserted in an inanimate thing, but this sword is not inanimate anymore, so that's that. Anyway, it's just living its theory life, so I am not sure. I guess I will test it after I come back from the Drum Kingdom. I thought while eyeing the fruit that was starting to change under me. As for how I knew about the fruit without asking him before, it's because I have recently got my hands on a devil fruit encyclopedia. It's a pretty rare book, so I didn't have it on me before, but now I do. This has most of the fruits written on it. Granted how even the rare Yami Yami no Mi was written in this book. I just shook my head as I then looked at Lucci. Funny how the alias that Robin gave me is similar to his name. Anyway, Rob Lucci, why did you come to Sky Island? I asked, knowing he won't be able to lie to me anymore. He answered, I was directly contacted by a world noble. He wants you dead since he is the father of the 3 world nobles who you humiliated. So you were here to kill me? I think the government knows you are not strong enough to fight an emperor though. I pointed at the lack of judgment. He corrected me with a shake of his head. I am not the one. I was merely sent here to draw a map of Skypiea and also check on the security of the whole island. Though not all of us, as Blueno was supposed to get a job in one of the bars here, he was going to be a spy. I nodded. That clears up many things. So that world noble plans to send assassins and bounty hunters after me? Doesn't even make my blood boil. I shook my head, finding it strange why this is happening so late. It's been around 3 months since I fucked with the elders and returned the 2 brothers. Yet, nobody came after me yet. Oh, by the way, the female noble is still here in the sky. I never clapped her cheeks, though. After all, she was done in by a horse. I don't want to touch her after that. Well, just because I don't want her doesn't mean nobody wants. The main attraction of the red light district is she. Yes, Skypiea even has a red light district. Although she is not that beautiful, the pirates from outside who come here legally still choose her, only to get a taste of the people they view as God. To be honest, I didn't think this would be such a hit idea. 5% of our economy comes from her alone. It was a pretty funny thing. Anyway, enough talk about that. I'm not interested in what assassin or bounty hunter they sent. After all, there are no strong people who aren't pirates or marines in this world. Still, when that time comes, I would annihilate all of them. I then looked at Rob Lucci. All right, you have to go back. I recall your work in Water 7 as a shipwright these days. Go back and report that you barely managed to flee from a few guards in exchange for Blueno's life. This would give an impression that a mere guard of Skypiea is strong enough to make CP9 flee. Rob Lucci nodded. I understand. I then teleported away after grabbing the Door Devil Fruit. I should quickly go to the Drum Kingdom, then after coming back, I would test if I really can make my sword eat the fruit. General POV. Meanwhile, on Skypiea's shore, Wiper's fleet was preparing to leave. The ships were long and big, stretching as far as a 3-story building. They were battleships made from the scratches of marine military ships, so they were sturdy and durable. Among the 10 ships, Wiper chose the first as he started to walk the stairs connecting to the deck. While he stepped inside the ship, a girl's voice flowed in her ears. Oi, Wiper. Don't die. But if you feel like you are dying, just give me a missed call. I will go and save you. Wiper's veins popped up as he looked at the crowd below, the source of the voice. Seeing Riki, the irritation in his eyes grew larger. Shut up. I am gonna win. Saying this, Wiper stomped on the ship as his body trembled. My gut feeling is telling me this would be a hard battle. Wiper's gut feeling was more solid than Amon's. Chapter 170. Fire. 2 days have passed. Whoosh. Amon was flapping his wings and flying in the sky at an astonishing speed beside some seagulls. He was flying 3 kilometers above sea level, mostly sliding and rarely flapping his wings. His hair was fluttering in the wind, caressing his face as he had his eyes focused in front of him. My wings would get rusty if I don't use them at all. Amon muttered against the aggressive wind while his eagle-like eyes were looking kilometers in front of him. I can see Drum Island far from here. Those 6 peaks are pretty eye-catching. While his sight returned to normal, a sudden outburst happened to his speed as he leapt forward, mumbling, "It's pretty annoying traveling so slowly. I guess being too fast messes with my sense of speed a lot." The next second, Amon's body gleamed, and he disappeared from the naked eye, moving towards the drum castle at his top speed. Zzz. He left a trail of lightning behind, finally reaching the drum castle. Meanwhile, in the North Blue, Germa 66 was in a state of uproar. Vinsmoke Judge was sitting on the chair in the middle of a meeting table, with all of his children sitting around the other chairs. He had a frown on his face as he was looking at the letter in his hand. Reading the letter, he started sweating, rendering the others to grunt. "Father, just what is written in that letter to change your expression so significantly?" Yanji, the green-haired prince, demanded an answer. Judge raised his head and glanced at each of his masterpieces' faces. He stuttered but still managed to reply, It's a declaration of war, coming from the Sky Emperor." Immediately, the expression of his children changed relatively as they almost lost their cool. But being perfect, unable to feel much emotion, they regained their composure soon. "That's an unexpected disaster," Reiju, the Germa princess, commented. She continued, "From our speculation, the lightning dragon who fought Kaido is that guy. Just from the fact that he survived proves he is strong enough to back up his title of emperor. A soft sigh left her plump lips. "Sigh, I don't think it would be a good ending for us if we fight him. Yes, Germa is a place with high-end technology and supercomputers. With the help of an informant close to the fight who captured video footage, they easily calculated the identity of that dragon made of lightning. Of course, they didn't reveal it to anyone. Yet, Judge sighed. I believe there is a mole in our soldiers who leaked this information to him. Or I don't see why he would directly declare war on us, just when we were planning to sell him off to Kaido. Judge sighed again. He planned to form a good relationship with the beast pirates using this opportunity, but this was disastrous. It was when Vince Moke Niji commented, "Why are you acting like this? I am sure we can take on him if we team up." "Shut it, Niji." The oldest brother, Ichiji, interrupted. "We are no match for an emperor. Know your limits." Niji frowned but stayed silent. He overlooked it, but Ichiji isn't wrong. Reiju ignored her brothers and suggested, "Then father, if our end is inevitable, why not reveal the news? I have thought of it, and was thinking of doing it since we don't see any way out. But after reading the letter completely, I changed my mind." Judge said with a small smirk. "The Sky Emperor underestimates us. He is not coming himself, but sending Fire Fist Wiper." Hearing him, the prince and princess blinked at their face, lost a lot of worries. If it's not that monster, then things would be fine, they thought. Meanwhile, Niji groaned. "No, that's not important. What is important is, he has the audacity to send a letter even when he is sending a minion. It's like he is warning us." Judge shot him a glance. "Calm down. Think of it as an opportunity. After defeating Wiper, we can use him as a negotiation chip." Niji's eyes twitched as he smirked shortly after. "Not a bad idea. You were right. I should calm down." The other brother added, "That way he would be on the edge, having both his secret and subordinate on our hold. He will dance in our palm." Judge chuckled hearing him as he leaned back on his chair. "Indeed, this is what he gets for underestimating us." Underestimating them? No. Amon simply wanted Wiper to face a hard time. If he attacked them out of the blue, Amon didn't see any way for them to win. What's the fun in that? Other than that, when the Germa 66 were assuming that Amon declared war knowing that they knew his secret, in reality, Amon was completely ignorant this time. He had no way of knowing someone was recording the fight, and even if he did, considering the fight was happening kilometers above the sea, and normal cameras won't even get a glimpse of them, he didn't give it much thought. However, he never thought that there would be a spy of Germa around, Germa who possesses cameras that can match Seraph's eyes. Now, when Amon was ignorant, if they really did sell him to Kaido, it would have been disastrous. Luckily, Wiper was there to save the day, or is he? In the Sea of North Blue, Wiper was in a ship. He was training vigorously, sparring against 10 soldiers to be precise. The soldiers were wearing a crimson outfit, fitting to be under Fire Fist. All of the soldiers took a deep breath and rushed towards Wiper, their fists targeting different parts of his body, such as head, shoulder, thigh, and neck. Wiper sidestepped and dodged the attack of one of his opponents. "RA." He then launched his fist forward with a cry and struck his opponent's chest, sending him flying, crashing inside the ship. Immediately, the other soldiers rushed towards him to catch him off guard, but fire surrounded Wiper's body as he mumbled, "Heat wave." The soldiers screamed as they backed off because of the sudden but immense heat. Only one woman rushed towards him regardless of the fire. "Ice projection," she yelled as the air froze, forming swords, spears, needles, and daggers in the air that went towards Wiper's body at an astonishing speed. This technique allows her to freeze the air and then form different stuff out of it. She can then control those creations to do as she wants. Wiper glanced at them as he flicked his wrist, creating a cloak of fire covering the air, as all the ice projectiles melted mid-air. The woman again prepared to rush forward, but Wiper raised his hand. Wiper then spun his spear and knocked the floor with the spear's end. "That's enough for now. We should already be close to Germa 66. We need to rest before reaching there." He looked at the brown-haired woman who used the ice attacks. "Sumi, what's up with those pathetic attacks of yours? They melted even before I used my full heat." Sumi, the priestess who came with Wiper, giggled. "Well, it's not because my ice is not cold enough. It's just your fire has become too hot after all these years of training. I got my fruit only a few months ago. I am not at my peak yet." Wiper scoffed. "Not that you would ever be able to match me regardless." He then ordered, quickly, "Prepare lunch for everyone. We need to rest. It is also a part of training." With a shrug, she nodded and started to walk away. Wiper became lost in thought. "At my peak? This is not my peak yet." Wiper's current limit is 1,500 degrees Celsius of heat, where his flames can momentarily become blue. Yet, that momentary boost is not enough in the long run. To truly match Amon, My base heat needs to be above 1,500 degrees Celsius, enough to make my Logia body made of blue flame. Then I should even surpass that magma Admiral Amon told me about. According to what Amon said to him when comparing the fire fruit to the magma fruit, the magma is hotter than fire at the initial stage. The key word is at the initial stage. When a person eats the fire fruit, his flames can't surpass the heat of 415 degrees Celsius. Amon tested it when Wiper first got it. But when a person eats the magma fruit, one immediately gets access to heat as much as 700 degrees C, the starting heat of magma, or at least theoretically one should, since the beginning of fire was the lowest too. Well, it's like real life really. The fire fruit's initial color is red, and red fire's top heat is around 400 degrees Celsius, but magma's starting point is around 700 degrees Celsius. This is how it is in this world, not much different from Amon's previous world. Amon had this thought when he discovered this. Considering the fact that Akina must have even awakened his fruit too, it's no wonder Ace was hurt by his heat since his fire was orange, around 590-1200 degrees C. While Akina should have been around 1,600 degrees C surface magma's top heat in real world, if not more. So it's not that Oda messed up physics, it's just that he restricted the heat of fire by its color. So theoretically, when Wiper's flame becomes blue flame that starts after 1,600 degrees Celsius in this world, he can quite clearly surpass Akina's heat. Of course, Wiper didn't know about this. He was just working hard ignorantly, unknowingly that he is just around the corner to surpass an admiral. Still, that doesn't necessarily mean he will get the chance to surpass Akina. Because in the end, this test of his surpassed the boundary of a test and was life-threatening for him. There weren't enough soldiers to help Wiper get into a 1v1 fight, so the only outcome would be a 1v5 battle between Wiper and the Germa royal family. And Germa's royal family can even suppress a Yonko commander. Chapter 171. Flame. Blood was scattered all around. The whole cabin was riddled with the sin of human flesh. Amon was standing still with his hands down, blood dripping from the tip of his left palm. Ugh, I dirted my hands, Amon grunted with an annoyed face. He glanced at the dead body under his feet. It was Wapol, the idiotic king of Drum Kingdom. What a waste. Amon shook his head lightly. The first option was to ask Wapol to leave the kingdom respectfully, but he didn't recognize Amon, so he rather tried to attack him. Amon killed him out of annoyance, not that it mattered. Amon then looked around the room. There were other people around the room, royal guards lying all around. Amon ordered, looking at one of them, "Hey, take this body and throw it in the forest. The least we can do is feed the poor animals." The guard that was kneeling against a wall shuddered to hear this. Amon frowned. "Do you not hear me?" Immediately the guard shot up with a gulp. Will you spare my life if I do as you say?" Amon smiled sweetly. It looked frightening because of the blood on his face. "Of course, I don't gain anything from killing you guys. You will live and serve a king that I will choose myself. Just don't think of anything too smart, all right?" After a short gulp, the guard nodded fiercely and shakily walked closer to Amon and the dead body. He picked the body up with all his strength and hastily walked away, leaving behind Amon and many other guards. Meanwhile, Amon felt a slight tingle on the bag on his side. He already brought a fruit that should be compatible with Munch fruit, Wapol's fruit, that he identified from the DF encyclopedia. It seems the fruit successfully reincarnated. I don't have anyone in mind who I can give this fruit to, since it's more destructive than useful, since the user becomes so hungry that he starts eating even bricks and trees. Not really useful. Amon concluded and decided to stash this fruit for later. Maybe he can make a deal with someone with this? Who knows? He just shook his head then, next glancing at another guard. "Oi, where is Dr. Korea's house?" In the anime, she lived in this castle, but since Wapol is still here this time, she didn't get the chance to move here. The guard Amon asked pointed his shaky hands towards the east as Amon closed his eyes. He focused on his observation of Haki, as he could clearly everything see even with closed eyes. Then, as if a video game, he moved his vision towards the east as he located a small house. "Got it," Amon mumbled in his mind as he opened his eyes. He looked at the guard again. "I heard there is a dude named Dalro." "Dalton here." The guard nodded in fright. "He is imprisoned." Take me to him," Amon ordered with his eyes gleaming. Dalton was the general of this kingdom. He used to serve the previous king, Wapol's father. But after the previous king's death, and when Wapol started to eat up the kingdom from inside, Dalton opposed him. In the end, he was defeated by Wapol and imprisoned in the jail underground of the Drum Castle. Today, Dalton was living his usual life, but something was amiss. He hasn't been given his breakfast yet. Sitting against the wall, Dalton was staring at the floor with a dazed look. So they finally decided to stop my food supply. He sighed and started to mourn over the previous king's death. He had no idea that a catastrophe happened in the castle. He didn't know the guards had no chance to give him the food. Just when he was about to release his third sigh, footsteps entered the prison as he looked ahead. Creak. The sound of the prison hall's gate opening entered his ears. He guessed it was time for breakfast, but he quickly canceled that possibility after hearing something more. "Yes, sir, he is here." Dalton heard the familiar voice of one of the guards as his interest grew to realize his stutter. Soon, two figures walked out of the corner and stood in front of Dalton's cell. It took him a while to make up the faces of the visitors because of the sudden light from the open door. Gradually, Dalton's eyes grew as he looked at the tall man in front of him. He recognized him because this man used to work for the previous king as a bounty hunter before. "Is that you, Mr. Lucifer?" Dalton asked, barely uttering those words. "Mr. Lucifer?" Amon grinned. "That's me." Amon's plan was simple. To hire Correa, he needs to make her feel grateful to him since she is the type of doctor who won't serve a single person. The best way to do that was to defeat Wapple, and then let the news travel all around the kingdom. With the help of the guards, no more than a few hours would be needed for that to happen. Currently, Amon was standing on the edge of one of the tall rocks, beside Dalton who had eaten his food. "Mr. Bounty Hunter, did you really kill King Wapple?" he asked with a frown. Yes, Wapple was a bad man, but he was still the son of the man he vowed his loyalty to. His next line sounded a bit more agitative. "Did someone hire you to do this?" Amon shook his head and slid his hands into his pocket, taking out a newspaper. He handed it to Dalton. "Read that." Dalton accepted it out of intuition as his eyes grew reading the headline. It was an old newspaper, talking about the fifth emperor. "You probably didn't know this since you were imprisoned, but I am not a mere bounty hunter anymore," Amon said with an indifferent look, his eyes locked at the horizon. "Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, forget about Wapple. He was not the guy you vowed loyalty to, besides he was a terrible king." Reading the newspaper with shaky hands, Dalton understood there was nothing he could do to Amon even if he wanted. So to please his morals, he accepted his excuse. He was a terrible king indeed. It's not a bad thing that he was killed. Reading his thoughts, Amon praised himself in his mind and chuckled, turning around. "So, now that the king is dead, I have a better candidate for the throne. And no, it's not the current prince," Amon said looking at Dalton's eyes. "I'm sure you know who I am talking about." Dalton took a few seconds to understand what he meant as his eyes grew large. "You want me to be a king, but I am Dash." Amon interrupted him. "I am sure you are good for it. When I was a bounty hunter and worked for the previous king, you left a good impression on me." Amon patted his shoulders. "I trust you." Though he did say all those sugary lines, in truth he just wanted him to be a king since he became the king in canon. Amon was too lazy to look for someone else. "In exchange, this area would be my territory. No pirate crew would dare attack this place, rest assured." Dalton stared at his face for a few seconds before he made a resolved look. "I will not disappoint you. You are right. This country needs a better king." Amon laughed. Indeed. It took a few hours for the news to get around the whole kingdom. Now, most people of the island were gathered around one of the towns with Dalton standing above a platform. "Everyone, as you have heard, the heinous ruler Wapple has been killed. Finally, God has turned his eyes towards us. He is giving us the chance to redeem ourselves, to stand up on our own again. We will." While Dalton started to sprout motivational lines, Amon started to look around the crowd. After minutes of searching, he finally found the old woman, Correa. "So she has come here to see who the new king was too, huh?" Amon thought while chewing gum. "So I have volunteered myself to become the next king. What do you say, everyone?" Dalton announced, and after a short silence, everyone cheered his name in unison. Dalton had a good reputation with the citizens, so they didn't mind seeing him as the king. While they cheered, though, Correa just turned around and walked away, going towards her house. Amon stared at her back as she left the crowd. Correa POV. I walked far from the crowd towards my sleigh. I was about to step on top of the vehicle as someone called from behind. "Wait." With a frown, I sighed. "What the hell now? Today is not my workday. I would refuse if he wants medical help." Deciding this, I turned around, but the unfamiliar face puzzled me. I am the only doctor who civilians can see, so I know most of the people on this island, and I was certain he is not from here. It was a young man who looked like he was in his 20s. Shoulder-length long hair, crimson eyes, and a black jacket. He had a handsome but cute face too, but that's not important now. I asked, "What is it, brat?" "Today is not work day, so I won't be able to help." Still, thinking he was just a traveler, I answered him, hoping he would not bother me again. However, his next words caused me to widen my eyes. "I am no brat. I am an emperor of the sea, the fifth emperor. I am here to ask you to work for me, Dr. Kureha," the young man said with an amicable smile on his face. I frowned. The fifth emperor? Now that I think about it, he does look like that kid. I recognized him since he is pretty famous around this time. He wants me to work for him. It was a pretty interesting offer. To be honest, I was having double thoughts if I should reject him or not. Sigh, to think my old bones still looks for adventure. I just shook my head. I am not sure where he got the news of me, since I am not really that famous of a doctor, but this makes me feel good. Yet, sorry kid, I, as a doctor, can't restrict myself to serve only one person. My morals won't allow that. I said truthfully, keeping a respectable tone. The emperors are quite easily angered, I heard. The young man stayed silent for a while before he shook his head. I am not offering you to become my exclusive doctor. You can obviously do your job as a doctor with others beside me. My kingdom has quite the population. You are free to help anyone you want there. Question mark. I was a little surprised. I didn't think the offer would be this generous. My only problem with working under someone is they would force me to help any other person besides him. To be honest, this was not a bad proposal. My ego wants me to join an emperor's army. It would be fun. But that's a good proposal, but it's sudden for me to decide it. I have to reject him. I still have one job left to do, to make cherry blossom bloom on this island. But rather than outright reject him, I will just reject him tomorrow. As I said this, the young man nodded. It's fine. Take your time. I also have some time to do. Dalton asked me for a favor. He said it would be nice if this cold weather was gone. He grinned. And I am good at changing weather, you see. What? I was shocked and somewhat hopeful. General POV. Meanwhile, Wiper's group had reached the German kingdom. It was a few kilometers large and was floating in the sea. The 10 ships had the kingdom surrounded as Wiper stood at the edge of one of the ships. Urij was standing beside Wiper too. Sumi and Urij were the only Birkins who came to this expedition, and they were strong. The canon Urij had the power to take down Snack, one of the sweet commanders. The current Urij was stronger because of Amon's influence. He can even match Wiper's strength after stocking up enough karma. Urij had one job, to do crowd control. Germa 66 has around 10,000 soldiers overall. Although the soldiers were weaker than God's army, with their weapons, they could match them. So to suppress them, a tank like Urij is needed. Wiper was the main power of this mission. He plans to take on the royal family on his own. He wants to test himself. If I die, it's because of my own failure. Wiper thought as he clenched his black spear. This spear is made with a special material that Amon found in space. It can bear the heat around 40,000 degrees Celsius for a few hours before melting. It would be his main weapon for this expedition. Whoosh. As Wiper was thinking to himself, a red blur appeared in the air above his head. Wiper instinctively raised his hand as the red blur, Ichiji, kicked his face. Bam! Wiper blocked it as a grin appeared on his face. The other party, Ichiji, was also grinning. Oi, Fire Fist, is that all you got? Wiper didn't respond as he flipped his spear and jabbed towards Ichiji. Talk for yourself, chilly bastard. Ichiji swiftly dodged the spear by bending his waist, but Wiper then raised his other arm, his fist, towards his face. FWA. Before Ichiji could react, fire surrounded Wiper's fist as he swung it towards his chest, hitting him and throwing meters in the air. Fire Fist. Chapter 172. Fire Emperor Wiper. Kureha stared at the sky. It was clear blue, just like the blue sea. A sight she only saw in other islands. This was a day she didn't think would come so soon. Incredible! Kureha muttered under daze. To think this was even possible. He changed the weather in less than 5 minutes. The sun was shining, and the snow was slowly melting. This was the changing point for this kingdom. Kureha wondered what this boy couldn't do. Just a few minutes ago, Amon had said he would clear the sky and teleported from her sight. The next moment, the sky started to clear, and now it was completely clear. Though Kureha couldn't know, Amon just moved the clouds from this area to the sea and then released a heat wave of plasma to melt all the snowy clouds, thus clearing the sky and also destroying the source of the snow. As Kureha stared at the blue sky with impressed eyes, electricity danced in front of her as the figure of Amon appeared in front of her. Kureha blinked at his sudden arrival while Amon started talking while rubbing his head. It was a chore, but I am done. He sighed and shook his head. Anyway, I will wait for your answer. Hope you will reach a decision soon. Amon turned around to walk away, but before he could do so, Kureha called. Wait. Amok turned around with a curious look on his face. How much do I get a year? She asked with a stern face. Amon blinked once before grinning lightly. How does 10 million belly sounds? That's around $100,000. However, that's just a dime to Amon. After all, he owns Gil Desaro, the richest man alive. In Germa's ship. Fire fist. Wiper's fist lighted up as a rod of fire went towards Ichiji and pushed him back. The fire then immediately surrounded him as a mini-fire hurricane was created. It completely devoured Ichiji, making Wiper expect a yell. Wiper drew his hand back as an unexpected chuckle came from within the fire. The figure of Ichiji floated out of the fire and flew a few meters above the ship. Fire fist, your fire is truly hot. But you see, this raid suit I am wearing is fire resistance. There is no way it would hurt me. Fire resistant. Wiper narrowed his eyes hearing him. Then he looked behind him and didn't waste any time to order his underling, everyone, jump in their ship. Destroy it from inside. I will take care of this guy. While everyone nodded, Urij opened his eyes while standing in the Buddha pose. As you wish, Commander. Urij, wearing a grin, nodded his head and took the initiative to jump from the ship. Ichiji smirked seeing this. As Urij was about to land on the ground though, his grin quivered, sensing an attack. Bang! Mid-air, before Urij could even touch the ground, the sound of a gunshot sounded as something seemingly penetrated Urij's body, blood spurting in the air. Immediately, thousands of soldiers appeared out of every corner of Germa's ship. That wasn't the end though, as they started to fire their guns. Bang! 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 First normal gunshots, before the sound of machine gun bullets, filled the surrounding area. Pew! 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 More gunshots sounded, and in less than 5 seconds, thousands of bullets started to shower on Urij's body. Urij's body fell on the ground as dust surrounded him. Yet, the shower of bullets didn't stop as it continued for a whole minute while everyone, including Wiper, stared at the scene with wide eyes. Urij. Sumi nervously stuttered as she looked at the scene with horrified eyes. She grabbed her sword and wanted to jump ahead, but Wiper grabbed her arm. Wait. Wiper mumbled with a frown. Perhaps he is fine. Soon, Ichiji's laugh interrupted him. No way that big fellow is fine. Those are armor-piercing bullets. Tekai or armament may be able to block some of them, but it's impossible to block that big of a shower. Ichiji cracked up after finishing saying this. Even a genetically improved human such as he, wearing super armor, would get seriously injured after this shower. There was no way Urij would be fine, more so considering he was caught off guard. This meant one of the big three from Einherjar's side was already out of the game. Wiper frowned hearing this. It was infuriating how Ichiji had the free time to chat, but since he wasn't attacking, Wiper also waited for a while. As the dust around Urij cleared, it was apparent that he didn't get the chance to use any defensive techniques as his body was riddled with bullet wounds, making him bleed from all over his body. Drip, drip. His blood was dripping to the ground, making a river out of it while he was busy panting. Ichiji whistled seeing this. While he didn't die with all those wounds. Talk about being a monster. However, Ichiji's line was finished by a Germa soldier. We are not done yet. Prepare for the second batch. He quickly reloaded his machine gun and went to pull the trigger. However, before he could do so, Urij's bloody body moved. He took the Buddha pose again with his palm in front of his chest. Urij then yelled with a serious face. Karma, full counter. The soldier didn't get the chance to shoot his machine gun as bullets that had pierced Urij's body started to come out of his flesh and immediately moved towards the shooters at its original speed. Cha! The bullet penetrated the soldier's skull as he fell back. The other soldiers didn't even flinch, they were genetically modified to not feel fear. However, that didn't matter, because more bullets started to come about Urij's body, and even the ones that penetrated him through and through. They all moved and went towards the direction they came from, killing every soldier that had shot the bullets. Cha! Cha! The sound of flesh being penetrated sounded out, as 2,500 of the 10,000 Germa soldiers were out of the battlefield in an instant. Yes, Urij survived even after taking 2,500 bullets head-on, though mostly because he absorbed all their impact forces. Ichiji gulped at this sight. They didn't possess much knowledge about Urij, so they expected him to be just another strong fellow, But to think he had such devastating power. What is this? Ability to reverse time? It seemed like that to the naked eye. Yet, Ichiji was more relieved than frightened. It doesn't matter. With all those wounds, he is bound to fall. Oh, how wrong he was. Urich just shrugged his shoulders, again mumbling the lines that gave Ichiji the chills. Karma, full counter. Immediately, his blood strain started to fade and all the wounds in his body started to close up, but that wasn't the end. His rigged clothes healed too as sounds of screams started to come from different soldiers around that place. What's this pain? As Ichiji gawked at the battlefield with his wide eyes, he saw a devastating sight. The other guards that were staring at the dead bodies of their comrades cried in pain as holes started to appear in their chest, heads, and other parts of the body. With holes in their heart, they slowly started to collapse to the ground with Urich grinning silently. What comes around, goes around. That's karma. That's karma, yes. And with intense training, Urich had learned how to control this karma to a certain extent. For that reason, his karma was affecting even the guards who didn't shoot. This was enough to take out another 2,500 people, the number of the bullets Urich absorbed. Now the fight was 5,000 versus 5,000. Germa royal family didn't think one man could take down half their soldiers in less than 5 minutes. Wasn't Amon's army supposed to be weak? Where is that weakness? It was then where Urich's body started to change. His muscle quivered inside his body as his body size started to increase, making his muscle mass grow to an extensive degree and making him as tall as Whitebeard. Whoosh! He then dashed forward and slapped the soldier in the face, cracking his neck in one slap. This was when Ichiji's body paled and Wiper chuckled. He yelled looking at his soldiers, "Everyone! Kill each and every one of them! Go!" "Yes, sir." The god's army replied and jumped in the artificial island ship, dashing towards the soldiers that were able to escape from Urich. Now only Tsumi and Wiper were there, Tsumi mainly watching Wiper's back while conjuring ice arrows and shooting them in front. Wiper then turned around to meet Ichiji. "Yo, you said you were fire-resistant?" Before Ichiji could answer, Wiper grinned ear to ear and jumped up in the air, flying towards Ichiji. He caught Ichiji's head with both his hands and concentrated his flames in his palms. "Then try to resist this, fucktard." Fwa! Concentrated blue flame leapt out of his hand and circled around Ichiji's head before springing out and going towards the sky. Flash fire fist. Thud. Ichiji's limp body fell on the ground of his kingdom as the scent of burned flesh entered everyone's nose. But unlike Jack and Amon, Ichiji was out for good. After staring at the body for a while, Wiper then jumped back to the ship beside Tsumi. He patted his shirtless chest as he looked at the battlefield. Urich was going all out. He has already taken down 50 more soldiers from the enemy side in a matter of seconds. Wiper cracked his neck and prepared himself to jump to the battlefield in search of the hiding rats. But before he could do so, he noticed something. What? Whoosh! Down in the artificial island of Germa, a green and a blue blur moved towards the rampaging Urich as they grabbed him and dashed towards the sea, immediately dropping him into the sea. Urich didn't even get the chance to retaliate and discern what happened, as he was out of the battlefield. It took Wiper and Tsumi 2 seconds to process what they just saw, as immediately, a golden blur appeared in front of him and a pink blur in front of Tsumi, grabbing them by the waist. "Fire fist Wiper, you let your guard down." The golden blur, Vinsmoke Judge spoke with a grin as he pushed Wiper towards the sea, along with himself. The same is happening with Tsumi and Reiju. That speed. Fast. This was Wiper's last thought as. Chapter 173. Whimper Potential. Whoosh! With a blast of wind, the golden figure of Vinsmoke Judge appeared in front of Wiper as he grabbed Wiper's waist and dashed towards the sea below, the same happening with Tsumi and Reiju on the side. Crap! Wiper cursed in his mind as he started emitting heat from his body. It's not working. They are immune to heat. The only reason he got Ichiji was that his head was uncovered. If I fall into the sea, everything ends right here. While increasing his heat as much as he can, he looked at Tsumi. "Oi, freeze the sea." Tsumi was struggling like himself. She cried after hearing his line, "I need to touch the sea to freeze it, and even so I need 30 seconds. Ugh. Wiper groaned. This means she won't be able to freeze the sea before they fall. Before he could worry more, he noticed Judge's expression quiver for a second. Wait, he is getting affected by my fire. Wiper grinned. Fine, I will buy you time. Instantly Wiper drew his knee back and jabbed it forward at Judge's stomach, making him cough out saliva. Finding an opening, he freed his right arm and concentrated fire in his fist as he smacked Judge's face, sending him flying a few meters in the air. Nice. He didn't waste any time as he concentrated fire in his feet and flew towards Tsumi after releasing a burst. He then grabbed Reiju by her hair and tossed her in the air. Then punching her in the stomach, he sent her back in the air again. Reiju! Judge cried and dashed behind her, grabbing her by the shoulder. Wiper then grabbed Sumi's hand and tossed her in the air for better momentum. Sumi immediately used Jeppo and jumped in the air. Huff, huff. Panting, she patted her sore waist. Thanks. While flying with his fire and his eyes locked onto Judge, Wiper ordered Sumi. Enough blabbering. Go freeze the sea. Sumi nodded and jumped at the border of the Germa kingdom, then immediately dropped her hands in the seawater and started to freeze it pretty fast. Sumi's fruit, cold fruit, is the negative counterpart of Charlotte Oven's hot fruit. So since he can make the sea boiling hot, it's no wonder Sumi can do the opposite with her power. As the sea slowly started to freeze up starting from Sumi's stronghold, Judge made an upset face. He looked at Wiper who was staring in his direction. Does he believe I will leave her alone? Mumbling to himself, Judge then kicked the air and dashed towards Sumi at a terrible speed. Oh, you're going nowhere. Wiper shouted as he threw both of his hands backwards, his palms becoming fiery as they increased in size. Wiper then moved his hand and sandwiched Judge between his fiery hot hands. Arg! Judge groaned while struggling in vain. While Wiper was keeping Germa busy, Sumi was sweating and freezing the sea. It takes a lot of toll on her when she tries to freeze such a big area. Ugh, fuck. She cursed in her mind while trying to sense Urij in the water. Urij has a higher chance of survival when the water is frozen since he can theoretically break the ice and come out. But I just hope he can do that. Nobody has enough time to go and rescue him. Sumi thought as she then drew her hands back from the seawater, the frozen sea. Then looking at Wiper, she shouted, Commander, I am done. Wiper looked down as a grin appeared on his face. The sea was frozen as far as he could see. This was good enough. But before he could celebrate some more, two blurs, one green and one blue, appeared in the air and snatched Judge from his fiery palms. They then went beside Reiju and started to look down from there. Judge, freeing himself and patting his chest, sighed. Even though I am mostly immune to your fire, it still hurts a little. You are strong, Fire Fist. But I wonder what you would do against this 4 versus 2 fight. Wiper just chuckled at hearing him. He then shot a glance at Sumi and ordered, Oi, join the others. Without Urij, we are at a disadvantage because of their advanced weapons. Amon also had an advanced weapon in Sarah's vault. But they are mostly prototypes and only 1 pieces are preserved for each type. Sarah is mass-producing them after Amon's order, so God's army would soon get access to such weapons, but they do not possess them yet. Sumi retorted after hearing him. Are you sure? It would be hard against 4 of the Germa alone. Wiper snapped hearing her. Shut up and do as I say. Ugh. This idiot. Sumi rubbed her temple and did as he asked. She turned around and dashed towards the battlefield after climbing the border of Germa. Now, Wiper was left to fight against 4 of the Germa royal family. Judge cracked up seeing this. Oh, Fire Fist. You overestimate yourself a little too much. Even if you were stronger than one of us, together we are unstoppable. You already saw our speed. It was a bad move to send her away. While he started to talk, Wiper prepared a plan. He is right. They are fast, faster than the current me. Wiper has mastered his heavenly steps and even evolved it, something even Amon hasn't done yet. Yet, he was not confident to match their speed with his techniques. I guess it's time to test that in battle. Wiper thought as he then dropped on the ice floor. Then throwing away his spear, Wiper slipped his hands in his pocket and took out a bottle of lavender, an oil that burns the best. After a short silence, Wiper then opened the bottle and poured the oil through his throat. I am not sure if it's suitable to use in a battle, but this is serious. Wiper wiped his lips and stared at the judge who had noticed his strange action. FSSH. Before Judge could understand anything, steam left Wiper's body. Wiper's body then gradually started to redden up. His heart started to beat faster as more steam started to come out of his body. Gear second. ZH. A red fiery aura surged out of Wiper's body as his body released enough heat to even melt the icy sea. Luckily, it was not just frozen from the surface. With Germa looking shocked, Wiper then kicked the ground and disappeared from their sight, appearing behind Judge and kicking him in the back, thus slamming him to the ground. My body is made of fire, so with oil and other burnable substances, I can generate hotter flames. That's pretty generic, but what I am doing right now is not that. By drinking oil and pumping that oil to my heart, I can choose to increase my firepower or increase my overall physical abilities for a short amount of time. This time I chose my physical abilities. Wiper thought as he then shifted his gaze to Reiju. Before she could react, Wiper grabbed her by the hair and kneed her in the face, breaking her nose as he punched her in the chin and threw her in the air. But before Wiper could deal with the other two Germas, Vinsmoke Niji used his Dingeki Blue, a technique that summons electricity similar to the minx. Niji covered his nails with his electricity and scratched Wiper in the chest, making him bleed and leaving a permanent scar. Wiper coughed out blood as he covered his chest with his hands, but he didn't get the chance to collect himself as Vinsmoke Yanji grabbed his skull with his right hand, using winch green that lets him exert incredible strength on his grip. Wiper heard a crack sound from his skull as his body flinched. He clenched his jaws and covered his fist with armament. Then heating up his fist, he pointed his finger at Yanji's eyes and poked his left eye out. He doesn't have enough armament to match people like Amon, but he has enough to assist his fire. Armament works assisting with everything, fire, electricity, everything. So heating up an armament-coated arm is like heating metallic armor. Yanji grabbed his eyes as he yelled in pain. Niji frowned seeing this and swung his arm towards Wiper's face to scratch him again, but Wiper dodged his attack and curled his fist, slamming Niji in the face. Niji was thrown back, but Wiper didn't stop there. Wiper moved in the air and dashed towards Niji to grab his neck, but before he could do so, Reiju came from Wiper's back and hugged him softly from behind. Wiper's eyes grew as the next second, Reiju moved her mouth towards Wiper and kissed him on the lips. Wiper was caught off guard, yet he managed to shrug his shock off as he grabbed Reiju's head, making her eyes widen. Flash Fire Fist. Ja. A concentrated rod of blue flame left his hands and burned Reiju to unconsciousness and dropped her into the ground. Reiju. The others yelled seeing this, as Judge then moved from the ICC. Whoosh. He moved fast with an angry face and went towards Wiper. Wiper just grinned seeing this and raised his hand in the air. A fireball got conjured in his hand as it started to increase in size, slowly starting to grow in size. Cruel sun. A literal sun appeared in his hand. Wiper shoved his hand down, making the sun go towards Judge and devouring him before he could even react. The sun devoured Judge and started to burn his raid suit under the extreme heat. Father! Judge's kids yelled loudly, but they couldn't save him. The fire slowly subsided as Judge's limp body fell on the ground beside Reiju and Ichiji. That bastard! Yanji yelled and rushed towards Wiper. Wiper, the red-skinned demon, grinned ear to ear and prepared to dash forward, but before he could do so, cough. With wide eyes, Wiper coughed out blood. Wiper's red body started to become purple in color as a small chuckle came from the ground. The poison is finally taking effect. Vinsmoke Reiju's voice caused Wiper to grit his teeth. Of course, why would an enemy kiss him in the middle of the battle? Of course, it was a trap. Cough. Wiper again coughed out blood as his eyes became red. This pain. I can't move. Wiper's fire stopped coming to his legs as he lost his momentum and fell on the ice immediately, making Yanji miss his attack. Thud. The world was going dark for Wiper. It hurt. It hurt a lot. His body felt like burning. This was a feeling he almost forgot in the 6-year time lapse. But he realized this burn wasn't from heat, it was from poison. That woman. Wiper glanced at Reiju with half-closed eyes. She barely got up while grabbing her stomach and walked closer while shuddering in her path. That was a lucky shot, she remarked as she looked at Wiper. You were strong, I will give you that. I was lucky to catch you off guard. Vinsmoke Reiju. Codename. Poison Pink. She can produce extremely potent poison from all over her body. But she knew she wouldn't be able to use it on Wiper, so she used the dirty trick to catch him off guard by kissing him. She glanced at the unconscious Judge and Ichiji. They didn't show any signs of waking up. She then again looked at Wiper, his body's complexion being bold purple. He couldn't use his devil fruit anymore. She then walked closer to Wiper and crouched down, leaning towards his face. I need to suck that poison a little. I used a little too much potency right there. It can kill you off. She widened her lips and moved them towards Wiper's lips, but before they could touch them, she felt hot. Ja. Blue flame touched her face. Wiper's hand jumped upwards and grabbed Reiju's head and slammed her on the icy ground. His hand pushed her downwards as a blue fiery aura appeared in his hand and melted the ice, pushing her head inside the ice. Reiju. It was when the two brothers dashed towards Wiper. Wiper didn't get the chance to dodge it as he was attacked by both their attacks and then was flown far. Cough. He coughed out purple blood and slowly stood up. His eyes were red, his mouth bleeding as he stood up. He gasped for air as he remarked, "It seems what Amon said was true. People evolve when they are pushed at a corner." Ja. Another swirl of blue fire surrounded him. "My new flames can even burn poison, it seems." This didn't make the two brothers stop as they rushed towards him and went for a punch. But before they would touch him though, Wiper's blue flame, his new blue flame surged up from his chest as he concentrated his energy forward. His flames clashed among themselves as they covered Niji and Yanji. They still pushed through the flames, but as Wiper concentrated it more, their bodies shook. Arg. They groaned and touched Wiper's chest. Yanji drew his hand back and punched forward, but before it could touch Wiper's face, the blue flame jumped up. Prominence burn. An Elthor made of blue fire left his body as they devoured both Niji and Yanji, painting the whole world into a shade of blue. Chapter 174. New Sword. Prominence burn. Fire surged out of Wiper's body and devoured both Yanji and Niji, burning them to a horrible degree. Their raid suits had melted under the immense heat as they lost consciousness after experiencing a third-degree burn. Meanwhile, Wiper staggered upon his feet, but still managed to keep standing. However, before anything further could happen, the frozen sea under him cracked as the platform became shattered in pieces. Immediately water surged out of the sea. It seems the fire had melted all the ice under Wiper's foothold, thus making the surface crack into 100 pieces. Wiper looked at the water with dizzy eyes as he lost consciousness. His unconscious body slipped on his feet and was about to fall on the sea, but two large hands appeared out of nowhere, from behind him and grabbed him. The owner of the hands then kicked the piece of ice chunk and appeared in the corner of Germa's artificial land. "Commander, are you okay?" the large man asked while shaking Wiper's unconscious body. It was Urij. Minutes ago, a few hundred meters away from Wiper's battlefield, Urij had managed to break the ice and jump up not long after Tsumi had frozen the sea. He wanted to interfere in Wiper's fight, but seeing him struggling so hard, he decided against it. He assumed this was time for him to awaken his power, and he was right. Urij touched Wiper's forehead. It was very hot. A fever. To further prove his assumption, Wiper was breathing heavily. It was strange. Wiper never had a fever before as long as Urij could recall. Maybe it's the backlash of the poison. That seemed like a possibility. Wiper did announce that his fire had burnt the poison, but who knew if it was just a bluff or not? Urij then tried to sense Tsumi on the battlefield. She was taking care of herself pretty nicely. Urij, with a nervous grin on his face, mumbled under his breath, "Tsumi would take care of the battlefield. I should rather contact Kami-sama first." Meanwhile, Amon was in Skypiean inside the new thriller bark. Amon was in a big room with a large bed on a corner. Yono was sitting on the edge of that bed. In front of the bed, there was a stool with a small round table between them. Amon was sitting on the stool. "Kami, have you obtained what you wanted in the Blue Sea?" Yona asked in a humble tone, not daring to sound disrespectful. Amon suddenly appeared inside the room, startling her awake while she was sleeping in her bed since she had nothing to do. All the work is done by her clones. These days, Yona has been training hockey with Brooke all day, and when she is tired, she sleeps. That's been her routine these days. She has become lazy. "I have got what I wanted," Amon replied. "Kure has agreed to move to Skypea along with Chopper. Now I am here to get some help from you." Yona's made a delighted expression as she was instantly overcome with joy. "Just order me, and I will do it immediately." Amon nodded and took out his sword from his waist and placed it on the small table in front of them after unsheathing it. He said, "Can you feel anything from this sword with your mantra?" Hearing him, Yona looked at the sword with her observation haki as she nodded. "It's not today. I have felt this energy from this sword from the day you brought it. I just didn't mention it since you seemingly already knew this. This sword has its own life force. No, life is a bit too heavy of a word for its current state. It's more accurate to say this sword is sentience." Yona finished talking as he raised her head. Indeed, the sword had sentience. Like Amon stated at the time of his fight with Liger and Crocodile, he had to inject Conqueror's haki into the sword for 300 hours straight. Only then was he able to finally tame the sword. Katetsu 1 is a supreme grade blade. It was more stubborn than its grandchild, Katetsu 3 that Zaro had. Currently, Riki uses Katetsu 3 and Katetsu 2. Her other sword was given to Tsumi. Amon plans to get Inma and Aim no Habakiri, Odin's twin sword, and give it to Riki. His subordinates deserve the best. After that, he has plans to do something interesting with his wings and the other two Katetsa blades. Anyway, Amon shook his head and canceled these thoughts and looked at Yona again. What do you think? If I give this sword a bit of my shadow, would its life get stronger? Amon asked Yona as she made a thinking pose. It should be possible. Shadow is a part of one's soul, so if you give shadow to a being with lesser life, he should get a proper life. She commented. But I don't think you can use a part of your own shadow to do this. I can't separate other people's shadow. If I do, the part one remove will also be removed from their original body. Amon chuckled hearing her and ruffled her hair. It doesn't matter. I plan to cut my finger. It should provide enough shadow. That should be fine, right? No. Yona immediately retorted. A divine being such as yourself shouldn't shred his own blood. Why not use my shadow? It's not like it would hurt me either way. She quickly suggested to make him change his mind. Amon stared at her amusingly before laughing slowly. I was joking, Just wanted to see how you would react. It's not every day I see the showcase of extreme emotions from you. After a short silence, Yona's frightened expression disappeared hearing him, but her face soon gained a rosy hue. Kami-sama, you tease. Yona covered her face in embarrassment while Amon kept smiling. Yet, his mind was still thinking gloomy things. Good girl. She helps me recall why I created this god persona, to begin with. People like her won't think twice to kill others and themselves for my safety. He smiled sweetly and then released a fake cough to make Yona regain her composure. Ahem, anyway. I don't want to use your shadow because it might not accept you. Since this sword is very stubborn. Bullshit. He just feels safer with his own soul inside his sword. Yona nodded as she also coughed and removed her hands from her face. But how do you plan to separate your shadow from your body without hurting yourself? Amon raised his palm to his head and touched his shoulder-length hair. My hair still forms a shadow. I can use my hair to get its shadow. It should work, right? Yona's eyes flickered with light. That's brilliant. It would work. Amon smiled at her and pulled out a scissor from his pocket. Yona stared at him strangely for a second. I see another divine scene. Kami's pockets have everything in them. Amon just chuckled at this and handed her the scissor. He then walked closer to her and sat beside her. Yona was shorter than him, so he then lowered his head as he asked her to proceed forward. But Yona seemed hesitant. But you are lowering your head in front of me. She seemed astonished by this. Just do it fast so that I don't need to lower myself for long. Why, yes. Yona softly grabbed his hair and then started to cut a very, very, very small part of it. Cut a bigger part. Don't feel scared. Why, yes. She gulped and touched Amon's hair with shaky hands. She then slowly started to cut a large chunk of palm-sized hair. Kacha. His hair fell on her hand as she sighed. I am done. Amon then raised his head and looked at her hand. A nervous smile appeared on his face. She cut so much of my precious hair. Fuck. He just sighed and sat up straight. He then ordered, then pull out the shadow of the hair. It should work. Yona nodded and looked at her thighs where the shadow of the hair was falling. She then lowered her hand and pulled out the shadow as if it was gum attached to a floor. Plop. She then looked at the waggling square-sized shadow of the hair with glittering eyes. So cute. Amon's eyes twitched after hearing her. Cute. That shit's creepy. He just sighed and let her be. He then ordered her, well, what are you waiting for? Put that shadow inside the sword. Yona nodded and then drew her hand closer to the sword while grabbing the waggling venom-like shadow. She slowly directed the shadow to the shadow of the sword, and as they closed in distance, the sword's shadow sucked the hair shadow closer to itself as it disappeared inside the shadow while the sword started to shake immensely. Seeing the shake, Yona cheered. Oh, something is happening. Amon POV. After the shake ended, I didn't expect my sword to turn out like this. It was still slick and had its previous beautiful white blade, but the problem was its hilt. There was hair growing out of its end. Though to be honest, it's like a tail and looks cool. I picked up the sword, grabbing the hilt with a small grin on my face. It was then. Brat put me down. The sword vibrated and talked human speech. So it can talk. This means the experiment was a success. It did gain life. But about this thing talking, it's kind of cool, but let's see if I can make it silent. Chapter 175, The Samurai. Brat, put me down. A deep voice with an old samurai accent sounded out in the room. Hearing the sword speak, Amon was speechless for a second before frowning. A talking sword. A weapon doesn't need to talk. A weapon was made for destruction. What's the point of conversing with it? He then looked at Yona, who was staring at the talking sword with glittering eyes. It seemed she was happy seeing her experiment being successful. Brat, you are too young to wield this great me. Put me down and let this one wait for someone who truly deserves this great me dash. Amon ignored it and asked Yona, Oi, is there a way to stop this thing from talking? This seemed to make the sword shake heavily. Brat, calm down. Take things easy. I was just cracking jokes to make you laugh. Laugh? What does he think he is? A joker? Amon chuckled internally. It really seemed granting this sword the ability to talk would be a hassle. Seeing this, Yona shook her head. There shouldn't be any way to make it stop talking. The only way would be to remove your shadow from it, but in that case, it would return to its previous form. Amon nodded at her hearing this. He had some ideas, but he didn't want to harm the sword, so he didn't test them on it. Actually, it's not necessarily a bad thing. After eating the devil fruit, I should be able to command it how to use it if we can communicate freely. Amon thought, trying to convince himself, and it worked. Oh, it's good that you understand. The sword made a sound that Amon could only deduce as a sigh. Amon raised his eyebrow. You know what I was thinking? It was strange how he understood Amon's internal monologue just from his facial expression alone. Slightly. I might have this strange sense of humor, but I am still a part of you. Look at it this way. You and Katetsu-one are my parents and I am your children. I am none of you, but at the same time, I am both of you. It's pretty complex. The sword answered, making Amon think. Interesting. A child, it said. Amon was feeling like chuckling softly. Well, then why do you want me to not wield you? As I said, brat, I was joking. How could I not want you to wield me? You already claimed me by inserting Conqueror's Haki in me for hundreds of hours. Amon hummed. That's true. You started being obedient after that incident. Amon then ordered, all right, then stop calling me brat. Call me master. But I am a proud samurai. How can I dash? Yona. All right, come down. I understand. I will do it. I will call you master. Amon curled his lips upward, hearing this. Good boy. Then let's do the last procedure. Amon slipped his hand in his bag and took out a large devil fruit, placing it on the table. Eat this. The sword stayed silent upon hearing him. How? Amon raised his eyebrow. Doesn't he have my memory? That's good then. Making an object eat a devil fruit isn't really that complex. In Wano, there is a teapot that has eaten fruit. After asking Otama, I found out she had one day tried to boil a fruit in that pot, and when she was done she saw the change in the pot. Oh, Yona exclaimed in surprise. That's not really complex, so do we just put Kiyu in the pot along with the devil fruit? Kiyu. Both Amon and the sword asked at the same time. Yona nodded. Of course, Kiyu said he is the child of Katetsu-one, so we can't use the previous name. So I thought of Kiyu. Isn't that a cute name? That's cute but dash. But I'm a proud sword. Why would I need a cute name? Amon stayed silent for a few seconds. It wouldn't have been possible to make the sword lively without Yona's help, so he would listen to her suggestion this time. Okay, you're Kiyu from now on. But Master Dash, of course, it was partially to tease the sword. Anyway, the thing is, putting Kiyu and the fruit in a pot might not work. Because for all we know, the pot might get the fruit in place of Kiyu. I see. Yona nodded. Then, it's simple. Kiyu just has to cut the fruit in half, while intending to devour the fruit. Amon completed his sentence. Will that really work? We can only try. Amon answered Yona's question as he then put the fruit on the table beside Q and then ordered the sword. Now, cut it with the intent of eating it. Okay. Kiyu, the sword, then floated in the air and pointed its blade towards the fruit, immediately rushing down and cutting the fruit in half. Selty. The fruit was cut in 2 pieces, and those 2 pieces of devil fruits glowed with Kiyu in the middle, as suddenly. Ring, ring, ring. While the devil fruits disappeared into thin air, Amon's dial rang. He soon accepted the call as Yuraj's voice flowed from the other side. Kami-sama, Commander Wiper is in severe danger. We need you. Amon frowned with the dial in his ear. Did he fail? It was highly unlikely, at least with Yuraj there. Let's see. Amon looked at the sword that now had a slight golden hue in its blade. Time to test you, Kiyu. Meanwhile, in the Germa Kingdom, Sumi was fighting the enemy soldiers with many injuries in her body. Bang. K. She groaned as a bullet penetrated her thigh. She somehow stood up as she fired an arrow made of ice towards the shooter. She sensed another bullet coming towards her neck, as she crouched down and evaded the shot. Just as she was preparing to shoot an arrow towards the other sniper, a loud rumbling sounded out. The tall wall which was circling the kingdom shook, and immediately, a man ran through the wall, crumbling it to dust. Bam! A hole got created in the wall, as a tall eveAny came through the broken wall like an armored titan. From his posture, it seemed he had busted the wall with his shoulder. The soldiers' eyes grew seeing this. This monster was back again? Before they could regain their composure, something else entered their vision. Master! They yelled as they noticed Vinsmoke Judge's fried body above eveAny's shoulders, along with the other Vinsmoke members being in his large hands. eveAny then announced in a loud voice, "Our commander Wiper has defeated all of your commanders by himself. Surrender now, or the lives of 5 people would be lost." Hearing eveAny's threatening comment, the soldiers' bodies shook. But they had no choice. They were programmed to lay their lives for the Vinsmoke family, so it's no wonder they would listen to eveAny when he was using their lives as a bargaining chip. Immediately, the soldiers dropped their weapons on the ground as they kneeled on the floor as well. Sumi and the others sighed seeing this. This battle has caused many casualties, people dying from both sides, with the Skypieans dying more because of their lack of defense against the armor-piercing bullets. Sumi dropped to the ground as she sighed another time. But it was then, the sky darkened. Rumble! With a bolt of lightning, a man appeared beside her. "Sumi, you are pretty injured," the man commented as Sumi looked at him with lazy eyes. "My lord, I almost died." Hearing her, the man, Amon, chuckled. "It's some rest," he commented. "I will take all of you back to Skypiean real quick. All of you, along with the ships." While Sumi looked at him with strange eyes, barely believing him, Amon teleported to the air again. Amon stopped in the air, looking down as he took out his sword. "You asked, Master, should I activate my power?" "Yes," Amon said with a grin. He then pointed his sword towards the sea inches beside the ships. Amon streamed his strength in his arm and raised his sword in the air, slashing downwards. Dimensional slash assests. With a crispy sound, as the airstrike left the sword, space itself got cut, revealing a dark world on the other side. "Wow," Amon mumbled as he stared at the abyss. While this caused a batch of cry coming from the Germa kingdom, the massive artificial island then slowly entered the cut in space because of the sea current. And soon after, the kingdom, along with the Einherjer ships, disappeared in the darkness. Amon POV. Seeing the ship disappearing in the darkness, I also slowly floated inside the crack in space. I assumed it would be fully dark in the world inside, but as I went past the gate, everything regained light. There was a sea, there were islands around, there were also houses in the islands kilometers away from here. The only change was, there was no life in this world, nor was there any color. Everything was gray. This was a copy of the world on the outside. Everything is present here, from poop to food. Arguably a perfect world, I mumbled as I went closer to the massive artificial island with 10 Einherjer ships floating in the gray sea. ? I raised an eyebrow as I looked at the ship that had also become gray with the surroundings. Most astonishingly, the people in the ship were also gray, frozen in time. "Yes, Master. Everyone other than the user of the fruit becomes frozen in time here." "I see, but why am I not frozen? I certainly did not eat the fruit." At my question, the sword shook. "Ha ha, of course. It's because I don't want Master to freeze. And also because you were touching me." I frowned. "Does that mean I am at his mercy in this world?" "Well, not like he would betray me, considering he is a part of me. Still, even if he tries anything, I highly doubt I would get frozen. The world becomes frozen in time every time I enter lightning speed too, so I assume when I enter lightning speed here, it would nullify the effect. Anyway, alright, since everyone is frozen in time, they're like statues. I can teleport with a bunch of statues, I think. I can't teleport with living beings, not because it would fry the being within the immense heat inside the electrical field, but because it's not possible. Something restricts me, most likely the force of the universe. Oda's rules, maybe. Anyway, let's try to see if I can teleport to the entire ship or not. If I can, it would boost my mobility a lot. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next part. Peace.